Oh my goodness.
Who you wanna roll with? Let's roll. Right back on the scene, it's time to get new, never leave me. Revolution machine, for what people stay, they sway. So TK is good, it's AK. Y'all feel slow. Like this, promises over the top. Don't cross the line, if you know it's right. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's be, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's be, let's roll.
That's a good thing.
Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's be, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Let's be, let's roll. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's be, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? 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 Who you wanna roll with?
What's up?
Sue, it's been far too long. How are you?
Hello, sweetness. How are you?
Yeah, where you been?
doing
Haven't
all right.
seen you forever.
hope
I
you-
know. I had to take a break.
I hope you've been well amidst everything that's been going on these past couple of weeks within the administration. I mean, good God, where do we begin? Like between the Ukraine comments, that total flop there, which is just a complete disgrace. The Kash Patel getting
Section
confirmed today. I
504.
don't know. Kash Patel got confirmed today. I don't know if you heard that.
I did.
Yeah, but you know what? I was just saying this to Lefty before. There is a pushback since those Russia comments, unlike you've seen so far with anything he's done. So yeah, I'm kind of banking on that being the starting ripple that we need to have some people on that side wake up to a degree. But you know, it's just been a whole show.
Yeah, I know. I know. Are we live right now? We
Yeah,
are
you finally
live.
pissed me off with the Section 504 bullshit.
Yes, we are live, so yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm trying to think how to word this. So we're mobilized. We
Can you
have
guys hear me?
mobilized.
Am I
What?
You're lagging, Lefty.
okay? I see. I'll fix that.
All right. Sue, continue.
So I'm on several mobilization committees. So if anybody is interested, let me know.
Can you tell me a little bit more?
They're pretty much secret. So anything that we do is not live and it's not recorded. So
Okay.
basically what you end up is in a Zoom room full of I don't know, a good 1,000 people, if you could keep up with the count. Which is okay. I was on one last night and it was interesting to listen to everybody talking about different things that they're doing, you know, and as I get the notifications for the protests, I've been putting them out. So I hope people are paying attention.
There was a 50-51 rally I wanted to go to the other day, but I had work. I'm going to get to one of these rallies soon.
In Trenton, yeah. There'll be plenty more. You know, we got all summer because it's a little too cold right now anyway.
Yeah, well, you know, I think the time in the cold and when it's not the best to be outside is the time that we need to be out there the most.
Yeah, and this is like very early anyway, you know, so there'll be more of a buildup coming.
It's I mean, you say early and look at what's happened already.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's just a lot to digest.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I know. And RFK got
Yeah, it's probably
elected too.
that's
He's in.
one of the scarier ones for me.
Mhm. Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, he just made a very scary comment today, which when I saw the comment, I was like, damn, if I didn't know he was a Kennedy, I wouldn't think he was, you know, because he
Right.
was so much off the beaten path. But again, you know, we'll see. My personal opinion with him is that they're going to battle, I think. I don't know.
Well, everyone's in a battle right now. I think there's a lot of legal battles going on right now. There's a lot of internal battles going on. There's definitely some sort of feud going on with someone in Musk. You know, there's a lot going on. I saw something the other day, and I'm now that you're here, I think you definitely find it entertaining. I think you should definitely share it with your group. So it's the New Yorker printed this. It is, I'll share it with you later. It's the Cookie Monster standing outside of a big cookie factory with a man standing at a podium saying, "Let me assure you that as an unpaid special factory employee, Mr. Monster stands to personally gain nothing from his work." They've been very good. They've been very good with those as of late, and you know, as they should. I mean, in times like this, we need it the most. But I thought that was just so on point.
Mm-hmm. Do you have my number so you could text me?
I'm going to put in the private chat here for us my number.
Okay, and I'll do the
and
same.
You can reach out to me and keep me abreast of everything going on.
Okay.
There was I was telling Lefty about this. I was at Puffin today picking up, and I'm definitely going back for this, and I thought you'd appreciate it too. It's a cooking set of THC coconut oil, olive oil, and butter. It looks
Yummy.
incredible. I'm
Oh,
so
yummy
excited
stuff.
to get it.
All right.
I'm going to be some good mac and cheese.
This is me ringing into you, okay?
Gotcha.
All right, you got me.
I will save your number. Jim, how we doing, my friend? Jim's
Mediocre at best. That's good enough.
I guess.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, Sue.
Oh, I was
So,
muted. Hey, Jim.
What's
So
going
I
on?
brought this up a couple weeks ago. You were in here, and just the state of things with certain aspects of the medical community right now. Air Wellness has, I won't say they've eliminated their medical position by any means. They have their medical side there, but they have stopped doing the specific medical hours.
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna see that.
Which disappointed me because they've been there. They were Garden State, whatever the brand they were before Air that was specifically medical. I feel like they definitely communicated, at least up until last year or this year, that they held the medical community as a priority. So it's just very sad to see that for me, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna see a lot of that, you know. And
I will say though, in Air's defense, they have a whole for Woodbridge, Eatontown, all those. They have a whole. You go down for the rec side, and then they have a whole separate counter and inventory space for medical.
Mhm.
So while I'm not saying that they've gotten completely distracted from the medical side, I always thought, especially since as someone who worked there and heard the medical community appreciate the fact that they could get there, have 2 hours without we're having to worry about a rush or a crowd or a line, and just go in, get their stuff, and leave.
They couldn't have something where if you're a patient, you just jump in line in the beginning.
Well, so like I said before, you walk into like either a Woodbridge, Eatontown, or Union, and you go, you enter, you show your ID, and then there's the medical counter most likely first, and then down you go to the rec counter. So they're divided in both inventory and serving space. NJ has lost a ton of medical kit, and maybe that has a lot to do with it. It's the gesture that I'm referring to.
Yeah, but even if there's a medical in that, even if there was people waiting in the medical line because there is no medical line,
yeah,
they can jump in line to get in. I mean, just, you know, in other words, if you were in line and not a patient, you'd understand that any time a patient or if a group came in, they're going to get in before you.
Let me put this in a sense I think you can understand, Jim.
Oh, I can understand it in any sense you can.
Appreciate. A lot of the patients that I dealt with when I worked there at Air were about your age, and they were.
What do you mean by that?
Exactly what I mean.
We're old, Jim. I keep telling you, Jim, we're old.
I'm not saying old by any means. And you know what, Jim, you got more experience than most, so wear that as a badge of honor. But
that don't count for shit, though.
The attitude I got from them, and also communicated directly to me, is that I don't want to deal with crowds when I'm trying to get my medicine. I don't want to deal with the stress. I don't want to deal with lines. I want to go in, get and sit in the quiet, relative quiet to a degree, and get my stuff. Because and let's face it, and I've worked at these dispensaries before. If you have them divided like that, and you take away even the slightest bit of priority from the medical side, like they're doing now, then it makes it much easier to say, oh well, the medical side's dead right now around midday, so we're going to take someone off there so they only have one person, or we have someone switching between both. It takes away priority from the medical side.
Oh, it does.
And it's a slippery slope, honestly.
Absolutely. But maybe it was just me, but I didn't believe it was going to stay that way from the beginning at all. When it was like, okay, we can't get our recreation. I only call it recreational sales when I'm making a point. We got recreational sales going. We don't have a system in place, so we're going to have to use dispensaries. However, and there was a whole bunch of howevers, and I'm thinking that's a good start, but how long does the however last, really?
I think there's a time and place to do things like this, and when the medical community is already feeling underappreciated and we're losing a lot of patients,
they don't care how we feel, really. Some individuals do, but the one who's on his shoulders to make the business work doesn't have the luxury of caring as much as others, even if he would like to. So, I'm just saying, I understand the move. I really do. It doesn't mean that I
agree too. I don't like. Let's face it. They get to open 2 hours later consistently.
Yeah. Well, it's just that I'm not surprised, and because nothing's really fair for patients in many of their lives, most of their lives. The fact that they're able to be a patient, if it's through no fault of their own, which it generally is, that's not fair. But life gives you that. You don't have somebody to complain to unless you like to bitch at God, and you have a God you can bitch at. But other than that, you kind of. Well, take Brian Cummings. He's finding out just how unfair things can be when you get primary progressive MS, and he has no choice but to deal with it. This is like it's what do you call it? Insult to injury. It's added on. It is an added on factor to a lot of lives that are just already under strain. So for some, it can be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I definitely agree with you on that. But I'm just not surprised, maybe. Maybe that's
And Jim, I appreciate you being my anchor to reality on these things because, and you know what, I maybe I'm right for feeling this way, maybe I'm wrong,
you
but
totally
my
have a right. Yes,
no,
totally.
no, I mean for the following that I've always had the mindset that like, okay, alcohol doesn't have and alcohol, medicine, and harder drugs don't have these movies, songs, and things like that that preach togetherness and on being truthful and real with people, and so many other positive factors that cannabis has been communicated to connect to throughout movies, media, music, everything that we listen to and absorbed cannabis through, other than ingesting it through the illegality. There wasn't that for alcohol. There wasn't that for medication. So with all of that, I built up an attitude of once this gets legalized, we're going to have a kick-ass community of people who care, who see that there's been people arrested for this for years, that see that there's been fake information out there. And I guess, and again, I'm continually grateful for you for being my reality to saying money. There's money that they're trying to make. And that's really the end of a big part of this. So I think my expectations get very high as far as Jim, you're muted, as far as the cannabis community.
Hey, Bungholio.
Social justice water pipe. How we doing?
What's up, Mikey?
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I honestly, I appreciate that preach so much because I'm glad someone else shares that mindset too. Because like, we had so many. Go.
Just saying, I appreciate it. See, go ahead.
I love that.
Is it a new word?
We don't have songs many songs that end well about like, serious liquor or prescription drugs and things like that. Sure. Maybe a couple pop songs where, you're partying and you're drinking throughout the night. Cannabis songs, media, music, TV, whatever. They all have some sort of positive aspect to them of either talking about
there's an alcohol song
of people coming together and smoking on that you'd see on that 70s show, or the community of the idea of just gathering together to hang and smoke like you'd hear in a Sublime song. And that I don't think and I know you guys don't think I am, but I'm just saying I don't think I'm crazy for building up the expectation that, hey, when this stuff becomes legalized, we're going to have a lot of people that have some really good values. And not that we don't.
That's cute.
When do you think it's going to be legalized?
Well, like, what I'm saying, like it is like even in this beginning sense where we are now with certain states.
We got kicked to the back of the line again.
Yeah, I know. But that's another bar of disappointment.
Yeah. And,
so
that's where we're going to stay for a while. We're going to stay here, but that's okay. I think that we as a community, and I say this to everybody, we continue doing what we're doing. And that's it. We have to kind of block out what's going on out there, block out the media, block out, the prohibitionists that have all come out of the woodwork again, that are posting bullshit and posting articles and what have you. We've been around too long for this. So
that's part of it. You got to block out what you got to compartmentalize.
Yeah,
and you got to understand. Sometimes this doesn't get as much as straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
No,
yeah, and we kind of have to have that attitude and just keep moving.
Well, we got a recognized movement, and we had some.
Yeah,
apparently.
and as far as like when we read about like the NIH or the other big places that do studies and what have you, Hopkins and what have you, but you know what, they get money anyway, so it's not like they can't. They can.
We got good news.
It's
though.
what they choose to do.
I want to talk about some good news for Homegrow.
What?
Joe Vitelli sponsored S9 1393.
Yeah, so
He's a co-sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
that okay. Then what do we think about? What does that indicate? He didn't co-sponsor it for 4 years, and now he chose to co-sponsor it.
I
Why
don't
would that? Why would that be?
Scutari pissed him off on some level.
No, it's time. It's time. It's time that will do some
I'm not
good.
used to hearing you
No.
being that optimistic.
Well,
like,
no,
during
it's
time.
it's no. Listen to me though. Give me time. It's my field vision. It's nothing but what I have, and it's like I guess others would call it a gut hunch, but it's not really a gut hunch if
It's a
it comes
beer bun.
from a lot of stuff that's already there. Working together, and you don't really have to like summon it up individually. It's one things it could be is he didn't want to waste the timing. I mean, my God, he waited 4 years. He's asking at least once, maybe twice a year, all along the way, and then being turned down. So he's not just. But then he co-sponsored it for one. I think it signals, and maybe there's certainly some sort of degree talking going on that we don't know about. I mean, there always is going to be. But for other Democratic sponsors who are uneasy about announcing co-sponsorship for a bill their Senate president did not want to be heard. I don't know what's that dynamic about that we're not privy to. I'm saying there's definitely going to be a better chance to getting more co-sponsors now when the head of the committee co-sponsors the bill, and everybody knows something's going on in the first place. So they kind of all have a better idea. But I'll tell you, it is a way better time now to be seeking co-sponsors than it was before Joe Tellett.
And even on a basic level, you get one additional person that other people are like, well, maybe or yes. And
he's the guy that Nick Scutari would rather not fuck with overly. I mean, he'll do so much pressure, but yeah, they can't get real crazy on each other. And I think Joe Vitelli's saying to Nick Scutari, it's gone on long enough. Simple as that. How close is Nick Scutari?
I also like how Bongholio came out before and didn't introduce there's so many good things about bongs and there's no such thing as anything else bong. He just said plain and outright, there's no such thing as a beer bong, and that was it. There it goes again. Oh God!
Can't say as there is.
I think there is. I think there is. But
there's beer pong. That's not beer bong.
Beer
Maybe.
pong, yeah.
Beer pong. Yeah.
No, I've heard of beer pong. I definitely heard of a beer bong.
That's probably what it was. No, it sounded like beer pong.
Whether it was a terrible idea or something functional, I heard it. But.
Oh, and as for a good alcohol song, it's only in a way warning you about the certain side effects of alcohol. And I won't try to do it. It's like a song that was pretty popular in Oklahoma when I was there, so I'll tell you something. It's like, could have been the whiskey, might have been the gin, could have been the 3, 4, 6 packs, I don't know. Look at the shape I'm in. My head is like football. I think I'm gonna die. Blah, 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 blah. Wasn't that party? And then it goes into a whole nother thing. So yeah, it wasn't like he got the girl or anything. The guy was
Tennessee whiskey is a good
puking
one
in a
too,
bar
I guess.
somewhere.
Remember
the
that
track
song
to?
by the Kinks, Demon Alcohol?
What's that?
Jim, you would remember that. The song by the Kinks, Demon Alcohol.
I sometimes don't
I think
remember
it was
things
early
by their
70s.
title. Yeah, sing a bar of it. Maybe
No,
we'll
I'm not
remember.
singing. I am not singing. No,
Oh, like I can, right?
that's okay. You can sing. I'm not. Tennessee whiskey is the best alcohol song, but it's also.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It's
Depends
very
what perspective
depressing.
you look at it from. Absolutely.
that, yeah.
I think there's definitely uplifting or at least hopeful or
That's
even
good.
inspiring
Just-
perspective
yep.
to look at that from. But there's also definitely looking back aspect of it that you can be that you can see it from. Absolutely. Drake Phonic asked the doctor on the panel. I thought I almost said panel. Drake Phonic asked the doctor on the panel. I don't know what that means. Drake.
Means have a smoked gin.
Does that have to do with the track tube?
Getting a
What-
patent for a
what-
bong based on a trach tube.
What is that?
Trachea?
Yeah,
Yeah.
endotracheal tube.
Oh, that's how that.
That wouldn't work.
Yeah, I don't think it would. That's like tracheal tube's really thin, right?
Not just that. That's the whole premise behind it is so that the patient can breathe. You don't want to start sending stuff down the.
And you don't really want to start coughing,
No,
We're gonna
Fucking
feed this
tube
right
out
into the
and
lungs through a
you're
tracheal
dead.
tube. Well, isn't that kind of counterproductive to what we're doing? I don't follow. What do you mean?
What?
That's really good.
Yeah, I get it.
But
Oh, and Lefty, I did go to. I got to that little gathering in Williamstown for Julia. We had Diana, everybody. Yeah, we got like 25 people in an IHOP. But I thought, why would we go to an IHOP when there's going to be that kind of people? And it wasn't going to be with remembrances and everybody sitting there. It was conversation, and it was just everybody to support each other and then move on. And I like that. It's like the second lap around the block in New Orleans with one of the bands. They played the Dirge the first time. They take another lap and they party. They celebrate. So this was not exactly like partying, but it was kind of cool. And yeah, that was good. And I told Jay that you really, really would have been there if it was at all possible. But he appreciated that. I came to represent this part of, and it was real nice to be there. Apparently, that was a little unexpected for some people,
Gaetano, I just want to say, I don't think, what was it, that you're misunderstood. I just think Sue was saying that the physically the thin tubing and other aspects of the tracheal tube wouldn't work for that. Also, it would contradict what tracheal tube is used for.
Well, Bongholio uses a tube, uses plastic tubing to when you hit them. Same thing.
This is true.
Wait, so you guys made that out of like what, PVC pipe and whatnot? No, seriously.
It's a construction piling. When they make pilings, cement pilings, they pour cement into that thing for pilings. That's what that is.
Yeah. That's the sonnet tube, it's called.
That's hysterical. I'm trying to figure out the construct. I'm trying to make like a 6-foot pipe that I put a small 5/10 thread into the mouthpiece of and hit a cart through. But it's just really, really big. And I'm just hitting a very small battery cart on it. Very much want to get that done. I don't understand cannabis infused beer. Some company was pitching that it's more socially accepted than lighting a joint. That means you're not in a good company. That just makes it drinking more accepted. I think the argument behind cannabis infused beer is that alcohol beer is a depressant. You see, some people uplift because the depressant has calm them down so they can relax, but you also see people get very down and dour because alcohol, again, is a depressant. So I think the point of infusing cannabis in there is to make sure everyone has a good time.
No.
You don't think so, Sue?
I just texted.
The intention. I don't know if it's the outcome, but
I was working with a professor from MIT was to deliver dosing, but no worries. Okay, we won't worry about it then.
we won't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm more like Chad from Saturday Night Live. Pete, the character. No matter what you say to me, he goes, "Okay, doesn't matter what." Think you better stop what you're doing. You got to go down. Okay. So
The tube,
The tube is
toxic.
toxic that we use.
I'm
Good,
getting-
I won't hit
Okay.
you. Good, I'm glad. Thanks for sharing that with me.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're not smoking from the tube. We have glass and then a piece going into the tube. So
If a piece of the thing that you're asking me to hit is toxic on a human being, I don't think I'm going to hit any of it.
we're not burning it. If you burned it, it's toxic. It's not being burned, so it's not toxic. But it would be. It would be.
It's like Every time I hear, I picture like all those cartoons that would like over fear monger how germs spread. There's just like one drops and there's like
Yeah,
that kind of
Yeah.
90s depiction of germ spreading.
right. No more
Very
eggs.
realistic to a degree,
No
yes,
more
but
eggs. We don't have any eggs.
I have one, but I'm
very.
saving it.
You know what? I'm glad you said that, Sue, because that someone reeled me back to the point where I could say this. How ridiculous was that Daytona lap he did?
I didn't
know,
watch.
Not
You're
just,
not-
for the fact, not just for
That's
the fact that
insane.
it's like the act itself, but
What?
what did like they that's never been done before, has it?
It's getting under your skin. Don't let it do that.
No, but
It is. Look
I'm
at you.
curious.
How
I'm
could
more
they do
curious
it? Son
about-
of a bitch! They rule the race.
No, I'm not even saying that. I'm like, what? Did they seriously have to like prep one of his like presidential?
Why
limos
do you care?
to go into the guy and say, "Hey, we need this
I-
limo to run on the
don't-
Daytona
don't-
500." They're like,
Off your back, over your head, eyes closed, ears up.
"I'm
You
just
know?
curious. I'm not pissed off. I mean, I
Now,
whatever, but I'm curious.
you're not. Well, let's run this back. Run it back.
What'd you think about him going to the Super Bowl?
Oh, I obviously did not like it, but
the military college bowl he was at.
you know,
Was he at the
it's
Super Bowl?
He was at the Super Bowl.
yeah.
He left at halftime.
There was airspace was closed. Philadelphia's
find that more
biggest fan couldn't get there.
Politically
because of that.
acceptable for a president than zipping around in your limo on the Daytona 500. I'll say that. Yeah, I mean, we've had
But do you know how much money as the taxpayers that we are, it goes into
yeah.
like all of his little
Yeah.
stunts.
So if you ask me, do I mind him discrediting a lot of what he says by showing up? Well, I don't
Yeah,
like him
I mean-
showing up, but there's a balancing effect. There's a
like he.
respect
Yes,
to
thank you,
everything.
thank you, Jim, for saying that. It's a perspective thing. You got to put it in. It's just like
Yeah,
yes, he
but
was at
if
the
you-
football game.
Okay, but the thing is,
presidents have gone to events
Yeah.
before.
you raise him up when you get upset about it, not you.
I'm not even, but we're
People
not
do.
upset. We're curious. We're asking questions, and that's what needs to be done right now.
Yeah,
And I
you
think
know,
a grand
we're
practice-
asking questions like that.
I think a grand practice
I mean,
that
there's-
needs to be
there's a
reviewed
lot
and
of
done
it.
right
Look,
now is
Okay, when Medicaid, if Medicaid at all gets touched, I'm going to have two reactions. One, now it's personal because I'm on Medicaid, but two, there's more Medicaid
Why aren't you?
patients.
Why
There's
aren't you on
more.
Medicare?
Although there's what's that?
Why aren't you on Medicare?
Oh, I am.
Oh, okay.
But
Medicare is different than Medicaid.
yeah, you're right.
what
Yeah.
you're saying as an advocate.
Yeah, Medicaid will pay for what
I know.
Medicare doesn't.
I know
Okay,
what
yeah,
Medicaid is.
yeah, right. It goes there first, but a lot of what I get done doesn't, and it pays for my medicine, all of it, whatever is prescribed to me. You know, not with co-payment or anything like that. You know, but I forgot where this opened up. You know, and I'm not even smoking.
We were at the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, the Rust Belt. Solid red states everywhere. Kentucky, Mississippi, they have more Medicaid patients per capita than a
Right.
lot of blue states.
They
So what's going to
absolutely-
happen is no matter what anybody thought, or they're like, what, you won't take my Medicaid now? I'll take yours, but I can't take you're not taking some people's. Yeah. Now what happens is that falls back on their representation in the House, especially in the House.
Mhm.
And you got midterms coming up, and there are people more behind the scenes and out loud right now, Republicans that are like, this can't go on. I can't. What am I supposed to say? I mean, the shit hasn't really hit that fan, and there's a lot of fans blowing for shit to hit right now, but it
Well, I
hasn't.
think we were
Hasn't
talking
hit
about
that one. When it does, yeah, Medicaid. So how am I supposed to feel about this being something that's could break the majority in the House, but it affects me personally? That's a conundrum. I like to put country over everything, and
Well, it's interesting you say that, Jim, because that could be an interesting domino effect from here, where we
it's
like I was just saying before, that we just had a lot of Republican senators and congressional leaders distancing themselves after Trump's warm embrace of Russia.
yeah.
So
That was a bad
it would be
one,
interesting to see if comments were made about touching that, how many more from there
Well,
would back off.
Well, beyond that, it's that there's, well, of course, at least three right now, three senators who are saying without having corresponding cuts other than Medicaid to offset the tax, uh, uh, the holdover thing, basically the increase in tax benefits to basically it's taking money from Medicaid to pay what you're doing with tax cuts for people that aren't on Medicaid. And that's
Yep.
a really, really bad look. But that's the only thing that will balance it with that much money that they're not already doing. So they're kind of going to go down there, but there are senators that say no, not without offsetting cuts other than that. So, you know, they got the kind of a thin, not a better majority there percentage wise, you know, but does it go through both sides in reconciliation where a majority works? I'm not sure about that, but point is it's already started, you know, but the controlled flow of that information isn't going to be rushing right down to us, because when you can control information flow to even a little degree, you don't get all the news as quick as you do with, you know, maybe BBC or somebody. I don't know, unless they're have something else to say, you know. So yeah, I still don't like to watch news because it comes at me at a speed I can't regulate. When I read it, I can stop reading for a second and assimilate, you know, I don't have reactions, and it doesn't.
understand.
Yeah, and then I don't have to read the whole thing. When I get it, I get it.
Mhm.
You know.
There's a
So
guy.
yes, I'm keeping informed, but quite really, it's not getting to me. You know.
There's a guy on at like I think he goes on live at like 8 or 9 o'clock on MSNBC, and I think he's just about the pace you're looking for, Jim. As far as
No,
just
not
even
good.
speaking, just
It's,
like
but it's MSNBC. It's like they're not at all the same level, but they're kind of the equivalent other way as of Fox News, or not even Fox. Maybe somebody that's a little less overt. So while I do, and I'm very familiar with them because that's pretty much what's on here. Otherwise, that's the de facto. If you're going to listen to something, kind of start off with that, which I have to do. Kathy keeps well abreast of it, so I kind of get to hear it from where I am relative to the TV. But I got these when I need them, so it's the same effect. And sometimes it's just, again, it comes out too slow. I get 3 minutes worth of information every 15 minutes. I listen, and the other 12 minutes bother me sometimes in some way, shape, or form. It can be stimulating to do what I have to do if I can kind of. It seems to mentally free me up to go a little harder here in New Jersey for, well, do I even need to say what for? You know.
What
Yeah.
for?
Home grow for patients.
Lefty, does the Mad Hatter have RSO yet?
It doesn't look like it. They have live rosin, crumble, batter, butter, rosin, sauce, concentrate. Yeah, just go on the menu. Go to madhatter.com, and you can see the menu. They have a lot of stuff on the menu now, and the site is up. You can check it out.
Educate me about the rosin. What's the difference? And is it vape form or is it in some form that you?
It can be.
Heat up?
Either in a pliable concentrate for your mod or rig, or it can be in a cartridge. There's resin, rosin, and
What's the difference?
resin
Is
and,
it tomato, or is there a difference?
No, what was it? I think the rosin is more pure than the resin. If I'm correct, Lefty.
Well, somebody at
Yeah.
Mad Hatter would know. I mean, if you're going to.
And
sell
then
You
it.
make
one
bubble
up-
hash.
One up
bubble
from that,
hash.
yeah, and then
Whoa.
and then one up from that would be the diamond sauce.
What's that?
It's a new resin style that they've started releasing as of recently.
Huh.
A lot cleaner tasting, in my opinion.
Yeah, less smoke too. I mean, less inhaling.
Kit, does Mad Hatter have online products?
You can order ahead, I guess, right?
Yeah, usually.
pickup. Yeah, you can order pickup ahead of time. Sure.
So are you going to be there for the grand opening Saturday?
No, I live too
Oh.
far.
Oh.
Oh, wait a minute. I see RSO here.
Really?
Yeah, okay. They do have RSO. They have
What's the
1
cost?
gram RSO concentrate for $40. Indica. They have a hybrid. They have a sativa. They have 3 different kinds of RSO concentrates here. So they're in.
Well,
Okay,
40
so
bucks
my
for-
question is, can you order online, not to pick up, to have delivered to you? Do they have
You
that?
have to do that through a third-party service.
Why? Other
They,
places,
like,
no?
so I don't. What I'm saying is, the Mad Hatter doesn't deliver themselves, but I've been seeing a lot of these third-party services like Canataxi and stuff like that will pick up from the dispensary and deliver to you.
No, that's not what I mean. No, it should come through the mail.
Oh, Lefty.
Yeah, that's a good question.
No,
Is
no,
that-
you
that-
can't
that-
deliver.
Well, even if it wasn't the U.S. mail, if it could be, it
Why not?
basically
U.S.
UPS.
mail, federal.
Yeah, it's federal. U.S. mail is federal, and you can't send
It's-
stuff.
Well,
That-
well, everybody else does.
Yeah, but
Oh well, black market, sure, all day.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not.
it's-
I'm not talking black market. I'm talking, for real places.
Yeah, I don't think they're supposed to
Yeah.
Really?
on some level.
Go on Charlotte's Web. Yeah.
Really? Oh, Charlotte's Web. Well, that's under the hemp bill. They're allowed to do that under the hemp bill.
Okay, but there's a lot of other places too that there's an
Okay, I
Ascend
didn't know
right up
about
the
that,
block
yeah.
here. They deliver. You can order online and they'll deliver.
I'll find
So-
out. That's
Okay,
a good
yeah,
question.
yeah. I would be curious about that because that would be the only way I'd be able to try anything from there.
well, for the first how many years did it take where delivery was legal? No, it wasn't at first, and then it finally, when it became okay, now it's legal. Dispensaries are allowed to deliver, but nobody did because it doesn't help your bottom line. So it was funny in a way. It was funny how you didn't find that. I thought it was some sort of victory when it's like, okay, what do you mean we're not getting from in Belmar, Curaleaf, and that started my I don't say run in, but then when I was really I was not one of Curaleaf's best friends in Belmar.
Sue, I've come to think of it now. I've never bud tendered you in theory. And I'd have to ask, what is your cannabis vibe? What do you usually go for as far as your cannabis products or consumption?
I do oils.
Oils, like more of a relax, a sedative, or uplifter? Sedative?
No, I want to be sedated. I wrote that song.
Love it. Love it. How's your dog doing, by the way? I just remembered them.
My dog?
Yeah, you had a dog there last time, or
Yeah,
the other time.
she's outside the door right now, saying she wants to come in.
What's that?
Sweetie. Jake's Law, a part of the mail. Yeah, I believe.
Is Jake's Law a part of the mail?
Well,
Yeah,
that
what is
might
that?
that might have been when it became okay to mail. In other words, that may have well have been I not getting it right up, but out of
Living a
there's
dramatic
multiple
Sue,
things
yeah.
became legal under Jake's Law, rather than just piecemeal, and that fits about the time frame. That fits about the time frame that I stopped bitching about it when I found out that it made it legal, but it didn't mean anybody had to do it. Well, when you show up, we'll bring it out to you. How about delivering it, and subsidizing the cost through your recreational sales? But that would make recreational more expensive. Yes, and it would make medical less expensive. Ooh, that was my original thing. Why don't we cut the price down in half right away for patients right now? Cut it down in half. Let's take an axe to it. And the way we do it is, how many patients are there? Not that many. How many people are adults buying it? A whole lot of many. Well, what would it be if the adult side paid for half of the patient's side? Patients wouldn't mind not getting in first then, probably.
I'll tell you one thing I just thought of.
$10.
I think
Wouldn't cost that much.
a certain dispensary or brand would be very wise right now in this time where we have a very small medical cannabis community and fleeting medical cannabis community to come in and say, "Hey, I want to work with the NJMCP, sell at a reduced price for patients." I think they would be very putting themselves in a very well placed position to grow the medical cannabis community and incentivize others to care as well.
Yeah, I could see a big reduction that would rival the best gray market prices right now. But if you did the number, I think it would be $10 more an ounce expensive for recreational use. Which, okay, $10 more an ounce, but if that paid for half of all patient use,
That would be okay.
yeah. I mean, I think if I was an adult and I thought that's helping take care of, really making it doable, because at that point, growing it themselves isn't going to be that much of a financial bonus if they were only paying, half price. Even if it's, yeah, even if it was half of the average price, it would bring it down to $140, $150 per ounce for patients. Which, if they're going to grow it, they're going to have to either buy it or maintain it. It's going to cost whatever it costs to do a bad job. It'll cost. So at that point, home grow should always be an option, but it wouldn't be destroying patients and their families' lives, by the cost of it and the choices that they have to make that they wouldn't have to make otherwise.
Very true.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't let go of that. I can't help it. I can make all roads circle. I had good practice running, bringing everything back to medical home grow. It's a little more narrow of a thing than when I ran for Senate and refused to discuss anything except medical marijuana issues,
Right.
And I would maintain that, people call me a one-trick pony, but it's a really fucking good trick, It's worth the price of admission for patients at any rate. So it was fun. I even suckered Ocean County Observer, which is now no longer a newspaper, had me in to talk to 3 other editors, and because I was being a libertarian candidate, and they got used to the fact that no matter what they asked, I could get it right back to, we need medical marijuana law, no matter what. And then when it got to the question, Toms River area, what about Route 9? 2-lane Route 9, right through the heart of some of the Toms River. It's all, they've been talking about widening that for, I think he said 25 years. And I said, it's been like 35, dude, really. Okay, well, so what do you think about that? And I said, okay, I can answer that question about Route 9. And those without pencils in their hand picked up ready to write. I said, it's in such need of repair. How can I best example that? I was riding down Route 9 with Cheryl in the car one time, and what she had to say about it was, ow, because the bumps really hurt because she didn't have any medical marijuana to relieve the pain of riding down Route 9 in that condition. And one guy with a pencil did the old, like a Johnny Carson throws the pencil over his shoulder thing, to make a point. Yeah, he just did that. In as much admitting to me, you suckered me with that one. But everything else nicely fit in. So, I'm getting good at that now. It's. Go ahead. Say something like, I'll bet you can't bring this
Route 9 is the longest U.S. highway in the state.
What's that?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Goes from
in the state, yeah. I
know it's up. I know it's up here, but I didn't realize it goes from
all the way down, the way down. When back in the day, I like saying that now. Didn't used to, but back in the day, in my early 20s,
shows your age.
A friend of mine had a Volkswagen van, and about 5 of us. It'd be like usually 3 guys and 2 girls, because we're part of a co-ed group, and we just go somewhere and smoke pot all the way there and all the way back in this van. And Nick would ride with the side slide door open because there's no rule you can't. And even open the back hatch window and air would float, because he didn't care and everything we get blamed on him. But we'd go to like Montauk one day, went to High Point one day just to see where 3 states come together. And so one day we decided, let's ride Route 9. So if you have a whole day in a van and a whole lot of pot, we started up north and went all the way down to Cape May because we figured we were closer to up north. We're about halfway. It was so cool seeing everything along Route 9. Some you whizzing by.
Hey, Pretty Show, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's pretty good though.
but that's interesting. I did not know Route 9 was the longest highway in New Jersey.
No, I didn't either.
I think Route
Oh,
One.
the only-
Route 1 is like not the longest road, but that goes.
But it's up there.
That goes the whole East Coast all the way down to Key West. That's Route A1A, so that's Route 1 still. Yeah, New Jersey. We
Jim,
got
you
it
said
all.
earlier you spent some time in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Where in Oklahoma did you spend time? When?
Oklahoma City and Norman, 1981 through 1985 and a half.
Cool. A couple years before I was born. I was born in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I was on my way to California, and I knew somebody there, so I stopped, and I was in a bad way, I was just more or less running away from a situation. Yeah, domestic, female situation, So I figured the best way to put some distance. I'm going to, I just,
What do you
I,
mean, female
I-
situation?
I-
What does that mean?
what's that?
What's that female? What does that mean, female?
Oh,
situation?
that
Dick
means that okay for me. That's better than saying, yeah, I screwed up. I didn't take a relationship seriously enough, and I paid the
So
fucking
you
price.
so
And he ran off.
you ran away?
Yeah,
Booked
that-
it.
yeah. I liked it better my way, but you can ask. I'll tell you. So, but I had enough money, and I had like not enough money. I had a total, including $35 worth of scrap copper. I had $109, and I had a Trans Am Firebird, and it got okay mileage. And I calculated I could get there and have enough money to I don't know, exist for 2 weeks tops, And I had a little sterno, was just heating my own shit up along the way. But when I stopped there, I got tricked into staying. Little false advertising without advertising by my friend because he wanted me to stay. Because I was good company because we were always good company for each other here, and he just got out of college and all that. But yeah, I got there and I decided I'm going to stay for about 2 weeks and rest up. And the first Friday night, I got there on a Wednesday, and Friday night he says, "Let's get you out. Let's go have a couple of beers." Went up to a bar called Clementine's, and we went up at exactly 9 o'clock. Unbeknownst to me, it was kind of a setup because there was a ladies only from 7 till 9 because they had male dancers, and guys could go in at 9 o'clock, and the dancers were gone. So when I went in at 9 o'clock, all I
They
saw was
changed
about
their outfits.
5 to 1 women, and I'm getting hooted at and stuff. I'm like, man, I'm a man here. Holy shit, And they got all worked up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they couldn't have them. They figured, they'd fuck with me. So anyway, I didn't know that. And at one point, I don't know. I was just standing up to. I don't know what I was going to do. I just got up and a girl came by and grabbed me, let's dance. Oh, okay. But I realized, that's like my style. Wait for a slow song and ask a girl to dance, and I wasn't thinking. So what happened is what they do is in Oklahoma, a lot of times they're dancing. The girl either put a thumb down the edge of your pants or through your belt loop, like when you're
I used to do that. I used
Yeah.
to put my
right, two-stepping, right?
Yeah.
Well, she chose 2 hands on my bare ass while we were slow dancing instead, yeah. And then I looked up and I see my friend Walton, his wife Terry, smiling, waving at me, and they're leaving. They're walking out. But this was like a quarter mile away from where they lived, and they knew that they would leave then, and I'd find my way back, and I did. And then he said, "Listen, there's all sorts of work for carpenters. Why don't you at least work, for the second week while you're here, or maybe stay a couple weeks. They'll take you on temporarily, because I had all my stuff." And I did, and one thing led to another. And in Oklahoma, people say hi to each other when they pass on the sidewalk. When you're in a line of 4 deep at a grocery store, they don't bitch about why aren't there more. They talk. Everybody's just talking. They mosey rather than walk slow. And actually, there is a style of walking. It's like if you had something with a weight and threw it out, how it would kind of pull you. You put that leg out, but you don't put it out like you're leaning into it. By putting it out and that momentum, it'll come down all by itself, And I had to keep warning you, walk like you're from New Jersey. It's like you want to walk around the bar once and see who's there. It's like it's a fucking race with you, Jim. Come on, you gotta learn how to move. And what really did it though is going from Oklahoma City to Stillwater. You may realize that's like in the middle of nowhere there, and Stillwater's pretty hick town. It's everything closes up at 6 o'clock and stuff. So I wanted to see that. I took a drive by myself because I do that then. I mean, right off getting there. And I appreciated hardly any traffic coming the other way, 2 lanes. And a guy gives me the old watch out for the speed rat hand, boom, okay. I said, thanks, and I slowed down. And they drive fast there and they don't care about speeding much. But then I didn't see a police officer. Speed trap must have moved. Then I got warned of another one. And that one wasn't there. And I'm like, oh no, are they waving at me? Are these cars that come every 3 minutes the other way, they wave at each other. They were waving hello because I put my hand out on my mirror, waited for the car, went just like this, went like that. Just kind of barely moved my hand. I got a big hello wave. These people are different, but that was nice. And everybody's stern, man.
Makes a lot about me add up, doesn't it?
I'll say yes.
I've had people come to that. So I came to that realization very late. I was like, wait, there's a lot of me that just speaks to, and I only was like there for like the first 6 years of my life, and then we moved right after the bombing.
It really was overall. I did like it there once I got used to it, but I got to tell you, growing up, no matter where you grow up in New Jersey, you're an hour from something resembling an ocean at the most,
Yep.
So there, 2 things disconcerted me. One, there was no Lake Thunderbird, which they called Lake Dirtybird in Norman, was the largest body of water. There was a reservoir, but I just missed that. I felt surrounded where when you live in Toms River, you're going north, you're going south, or you're going west. You're almost never going east because you're already as east as you can be, just about. So, I had no sense of direction, and they everything were like, well, then you go northeast, and I'm, oh shit, I don't know what direction I'm facing now, and everybody did there. It was good, but I belong in New Jersey. It's got it all,
That's what happens, Look at me, I came back.
Yeah, it does. It's a good.
And I like it here.
Well, you pick somebody. I did a fair share of you pick somebody up at the airport if they fly here. When I know somebody that's never been to New Jersey, and maybe that's happened about 6 times, and every time it's the same thing. We leave the airport, and they see, like Sopranos country, even before it was that. They see that whole. That's what New Jersey is to them. They get on the parkway where there's no advertising allowed, and all they see is trees and trees and trees. And I didn't know. And then you come to a toll booth, and they're like, "Whoa!" And then and then you come to another toll booth, and when you hit the 3rd toll booth, going on an hour drive, they're like, "What the hell? What the hell?" And circles, traffic circles. Whoa, what's that?
So they do have the John Gandolfini rest area on the Parkway.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Bon Jovi one too. John Bon Jovi one.
Yeah.
There's what's that other one? The one where
in Elizabeth, near Elizabeth, right?
Whitney Houston.
Wow.
Whitney Houston?
Yeah,
I heard him say Whitney Houston.
Well, you could. I think they had some sort of informal. Somebody had would they would take you like a tour of the things that you would see in the beginning.
Yeah.
Of the movie, and then doing the job I had picking up. I used oil filters from businesses that would change oil filters. It took me up there one time, and I was with another guy, and he's, oh, look, that's the office that they showed, that Tony Soprano had for his waste management thing. He would, he had an office at a building. I think it was up one flight of outside stairs or something. But I remember, and of course all the other things you just see, I mean, put New Jersey on the map in a different light, and then of course, first time I went, it was Wisconsin. I had a rent, I took Kathy's vehicle, and it was a black SUV, and first thing it says, it was a Tony Soprano vehicle, just because. Okay.
Just the first thing that pops to mind.
Yeah. I didn't watch that show for years because I thought it was about opera singers.
Oh, really?
Really? No. Yeah, really.
I'm dying. That's hysterical. I can definitely sympathize though, because I've had misunderstandings like that so many times in my life.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think it was about people saying it, but I thought it was in reference to the vocal range. Didn't seem to interest me, and somebody told me what it's about. Man, I'll tell you, I couldn't believe how good it was. That was my favorite show until Breaking Bad. And Breaking Bad, for me, top that even. But
it reminds me of when I was in my senior year of high school and boarding school, and I forget what me and my roommate Mike were talking about, but we got on the he had mispronounced the plural of something, and we through a couple of clarifications. I was equally shocked when I asked him, like, what do you think the plural of mongooses is? And he went, mongs.
Sure, I'll buy that. It's much like Mitch Hedberg describing abbreviations. Yeah, you start to write the word and just stop.
Yeah.
He was referring to
Just
states.
put a period.
Oh,
at the end.
Sue, by the way,
What?
our guest tonight should
She should
fill
be
me
on
in.
it
Yeah,
at 5:30.
fill me in briefly, because I remember when I read it first a couple of days ago, but I did not have time to do my usual review.
All right, Trisha's a cannabis nurse, and she's in the network. And
was she a guest before or not? She
No.
wasn't. Okay.
No.
Okay.
And she is fairly new, but
What does the Q stand for? She's maybe an RN or something, and there was letters of identification.
All right.
I didn't even know what that was.
There are all these certifications now that people are doing because they don't want to be a nurse, really. And I really shouldn't say that because that's not fair, but that's
Okay. I don't
just
remember.
how I feel. So they do this, they get these coaching certifications, and what they do with them, I don't know. I know that they do a lot of they do consulting, but like there's 10 million consultants out there now.
What's her wheelhouse? What would be
She works in mental health and addiction, and she also she writes for a I think it's cannabis, but it's more on the wellness kind of, wellness, good living kind of vibe. And
that's good. That works in conjunction with people that.
And I think it's called the Bloom. I'm not sure what the name is, and she works part time. Working with mental health and addicts, and that's about it.
Yeah, how long has she been a cannabis nurse?
Not very long.
Okay.
Not very long. She's
that's good.
She's only come on my radar maybe within the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to meet her. She sounds interesting.
It's good that you're here to prompt to where we can be involved, but that naturally happens whenever we do this. So
Well, I already explained you guys to
Yeah.
her. So I said, and Jim will ask the most questions, and I'll just be there. Well,
yeah,
that's
well,
it.
be there after she's on. Just be there after she's on for a few minutes, till we get rolling. But
Yeah, and then you'll get rolling.
Yeah,
And
there's
she's really nice, and she's really into like the whole cannabis movement.
That's
It's
good.
not. It's she's not a you and I. Okay, so
Different perspective.
it's funny. I saw a UNI. She's an RN, not a UNI. Oh, okay.
not a Jim and Sue and Lefty and
I should
you
own
too.
up to that
Yeah.
every time I screw up. I really shouldn't self-own myself if nobody else does. I should cut that down. A lot of people try to run. I can go, boy, what the fuck was I thinking? What's wrong with me?
I have a question though, kind of like off topic question for you, Jim. Are we
Okay.
still doing a book? What are
Yeah.
we doing?
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
yeah.
You're still right.
It's more my headspace.
It's in your head. Okay.
No. Yeah, what I mean is when I do that, it comes in smaller segments because that means I'm not doing something that I could be doing for home grow for patients my last year doing this, because I'm not going further in the session. I'm not. I'll be available for other people's ideas, but
Mhm.
it takes me away from my keyboard practice too. I got to force that on myself. But the things that I shouldn't be here this long. It's been too long already.
I know you were serious about that, but I never hear that side of Jim about talking about hobbies or anything other than that. So it's just very funny and very joyful to just hear him be like, it takes away from my keyboard practice.
Yeah, but there is some the
The history of cannabis and psychedelics in New Jersey and beyond. You're doing a book.
He's
Okay.
working on one, I believe.
well, good. Then that prompts me to do one, because anytime somebody else can get around to stuff that I'm not. But again, it's sort of like. But I also know that promise I need to try to fulfill that I made 22 years ago. I'm out. I've been released from that. Never mind how and why it happened in a dream. But yeah, going through this session, which is like past the end of the year by a little bit, a week or two. That's it. I mean,
Yep.
I-
Trisha,
Trisha.
hello. How are we doing?
Hi, Trish.
Hi. There we go.
I am so excited to have to see you here. I've heard so much about you already. I'm very interested to hear more. Welcome.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Well, Sue did tip us off that she tipped you off about us, and I don't know exactly how anybody would describe this podcast. It's always fun for us,
We have fun. We talk about
Yeah.
cannabis and
I think I
some other
described it
stuff.
very
Yeah.
well. Yeah, it's a
But-
fun,
but-
laid back atmosphere.
Here's what it isn't. It isn't this. It's Trisha. I'd like to ask you if nothing
Yeah, it's
starts out.
definitely not that.
Nothing starts out like that. Occasionally, I look up to make sure somebody's going like that. That means you're talking too much, Jim. Because I tend to.
Because Jim can talk too much.
You do.
But
You
that's
do,
okay.
We love you for it. We love you for
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You guys are small on my screen.
You're small on my screen.
Am I? Okay. All right. I just
Yeah,
wanted
we
to
just
share.
so when there's 5 people in the chat, it'll auto resize all the boxes. So,
Eventually.
but anyway,
And-
Trisha,
Yeah.
We Sue has Cannabis Nurses Network. We got Cannabis Revolution here. Lefty, I don't know when he's actually there. I think he's off
somewhere.
camera. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, the podcast where he is that we're on is in a dispensary, and you can't smoke in the dispensary. Now, Lefty, yes, he's a patient, and he is pretty much in pain that he tolerates as best he can all the time, but he also enjoys it. So we joke about him that if this goes up, I'm pretty sure we know where he is, but he's almost always with his iPhone on a stick, so he can walk out there, and then he's in his vehicle, and then you see this, and we don't really know where he is right now. He went out unexplained.
He's probably smoking.
Yeah.
But so Trisha, we
Okay.
got a little download of you from Sue, but I'd like for the audience and everyone, and just as a refresher for us, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been a cannabis nurse for, and I guess your attitude and mindset in the industry.
Sure.
See,
I've
that's
been-
a little like what I just said we wouldn't do. But
Well, you know what?
No.
You know me, and I try to I balance it out. You hear the other
Oh, good.
side of it.
you're good, because that's what I won't do. That makes us the well-rounded zoo that we are.
But
No, I'm not
Trisha,
well rounded. You know
well,
that.
while you are being given this introduction and these different questions, you have to take into account also the name of the person that
I'd
is
say
asking
Trisha.
you these questions.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
Trisha multiple times.
I'll put it together.
Okay.
I'll put it together.
So,
I wish I could
so just
take
be
some
you. Just do you. Okay.
All right, I can do that. I've only been in the cannabis space as far as my business goes since we opened in August of 23. And I own Centris Health and Wellness, which is I am a first-year nurse coach, and I introduce cannabis into a healthy lifestyle. So I guide patients with their intention to help them use the medicine to help themselves heal. I've been a nurse since 1994. So going on 31 years this spring. Most of my background is in cardiac telemetry. Next month, it'll be 4 years in addiction medicine and mental health unit, inpatient, dual diagnosis. So they have to have a mental health diagnosis and an addiction disorder.
Is this your wellness center? I want to be real clear, because I want to picture it. So, which I really like the concept of all sorts of things that work in synergy and have benefit. So right off, I like that it's a wellness center concept. I was almost going to say, if you will. And I've never said that in my life, because every time somebody says it to me, I say I won't or I will. I've never understood. It's missing one word somewhere along the way. If you will, what? I don't like open-ended questions anyway. But with the wellness center, that was something that you started or became a part of that.
It's something that I started. I did the nursing board certification in 2022, and a lot of nurses are actually starting to leave the bedside and doing these nurse coaching certifications. There's a few programs out there that are available. I did mine through the Nurse Coach Collective. It was a 7-month program, and there is an exam at the end that makes me board certified. And really, after a year of COVID and the front lines, I think that's what really kind of stimulated me to go back and get this advanced certification, because being in healthcare all these years and just seeing not a lot of progress being made with individuals' health, and then knowing too that we have the best medicine, it's just really frustrating as a nurse to just be following the status quo as far as, pushing medications, which are necessary in some cases, but really giving the power back and the autonomy to the patient is really more important to me than just 30 minutes of activity a day, eat less processed food, here's your meds, and see you later. And we are all aware that our chronic disease and autoimmune disorders and mental health these things are on the rise. And that really is probably a big part of why I went for the nurse coaching. I thought there's something more I need to do as a nurse. I'm not really fulfilling my purpose. And when I saw the cannabis nurse certificate program, which was also through the Integrative Nurse Coach Academy, Canny Nurse Certificate program, that was, it just made sense to me. I'm a fan of cannabis, and I thought when I learned about the endocannabinoid system and how the plant helps supplement and help people achieve that balance, me, myself included, it was just a no-brainer. And knowing that the population is in favor and support of cannabis, They don't really have the education though, and the coaching to use it with intention. So really my focus is helping people find that healing space, but really when they use their medicine, what's the purpose of the medicine, and guiding them and teaching them, as Sue would know, the art and science of self-titration. So I'm more of an educator.
So your coaching is really directed to the client, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I very much identify with that, Trisha. I entered the cannabis community a little less than 2 years ago as a bud tender, and I entered that attitude inspired by my father, who's an emergency physician, and I want to ask you, because my attitude as a bud tender was always, whether you're a recreational or a patient, deeper dive as a patient, was to get not just, what kind of night are you trying to have, but what ailment are you trying to mend? What is your attitude, practice, routine with the patient, if you will, as far as someone
If you will.
I didn't even think that one through.
Jim, if you will.
I won't, but I will. Point is, whether it be someone who is a new cannabis user, or someone who is fell to the same stigmas, fake news, and misinformation that has been thrown around by cannabis all these years, what is your attitude and approach to them as far as getting their mind in the right place?
Oh boy. So you have to take them back to the history, right, of cannabis being used medicinally and spiritually for over 11,000 years. We have evidence of that. And also speaking to the American Medical Association, right? They fought to keep it on the U.S. Pharmacopoeia. I'm always, clearly, I don't hold a stigma toward patients when they come. I want to make them feel open and vulnerable with me. So it's really like, what are your goals when you take the cannabis? There's background work clearly that I have to do, especially if it's related to like a cancer diagnosis. There's different nuances to that as well. But I feel like a nurse, being too that I'm actively employed and I haven't just dove totally into the cannabis space as much as I would like to, that is keeping me current, and it gives me that credibility. And Sue and I know that nurses for 22 years, I believe, are the most trusted profession. And I really feel like I'm putting myself out there to being employed, and I'm close to my pension. 2.5 years, I could be pension eligible. There's that sense of risk still, unfortunately, on the nursing side when we're out there talking about it. I don't know if that answered your question or not, but I just think that I give it credibility because I've been in the field. I'm still working. I work with people with a host of ailments, right? Chronic disease is really my background. So I want to provide that safety and knowing that I'm there to coach them. So my consults, Jim, you had wanted me to clarify a little bit on the centrist. Right now I'm doing telehealth consultations. And then another side kind of thing that I'm working on right now, I am also going to senior living centers and doing like Cannabis 101 education with them, since that's a very fast growing segment of our population, but they're a little more vulnerable too with the age and metabolism and polypharmacy. So they're
probably the most vulnerable cannabis patient out there, being that they're in a home, and with a lot of them, they're not of the right state of mind. So they're very much stuck in that era of misinformation, of the worst of it, the very, very worst of it. So getting them to get past that, like, no, this isn't just going to put you to sleep. This is going to give you energy. This is going to, that must be a mountain to climb with certain of them. My God.
Yeah, totally. My parents, I'll share this little story. So before I was certified, may I share a story? My mom was 80 at the time, and I had brought I had an edible that was 10 milligrams, hard candy. She took one too, and she was 80 years old, and it was 10 milligrams.
That's reasonable. No, I mean, it's reasonable for somebody
Yeah.
for, you know,
Not for an 80 year
or a light or a light
Well,
like a
see,
light user or something like that. Yeah.
this is why
Yeah,
you're here to teach us stuff
yeah,
like that right
it's
now.
a great
so,
example that if she would have gone to a dispensary
yeah.
and not known how to talk to the bud tender, or the bud tender might have not have thought about, geez, she's new to
Well,
cannabis.
What would the
There's-
dose be? I know nothing about, you know, I mean, I know how it is for me, but what ballpark would
I
you
found
think?
for her, and I used a tincture, was 1.75 milligrams, worked really well for her, a full
That's
spectrum.
nice.
tincture. Yeah. But
Wow,
that 10
good thing I
milligrams-
wasn't advising anybody, you know. I wouldn't be any help. Holy crap.
she had to stop me. We were at a graduation party, and I remembered, oh yeah, she had an edible. I did too, and I was feeling pretty good and giggly. So I walked her a block home, and I sat with her, got her water, and she had the palpitations and the shortness of breath and this anxiety flush over her. But within 15 to 20 minutes, she was fine, and she wanted champagne. And luckily, I had
I
enough
like
nursing
her.
sense to say, let's just hold off. But I think probably within 2 hours, she did have a glass of champagne, and she was having a great time. But yeah, you don't want to start an elderly person at 10 milligrams with no real edible experience.
Yeah, I had a similar experience with my mother. I've shared it on the show before, where my parents, my dad is that father that told you, listen, I grew up smoking weed, I know what I'm talking about, and my mom was just never one to use it. And one night at dinner, she tells me, I took an edible a couple nights ago. I had to go to the hospital. She tells me the whole story, and I basically learned, okay, so your insurance paid you to get something put in your arm to drink water. Great, cool. Don't do that without me next time. Here's the other thing. Now, you've spent a lot more of your time within the general medical industry on the I don't want to say legitimate, but the more, I guess,
Conventional.
yeah, the conventional side of medicine. What has it been like for you hearing the conversations change between your staff that you work with on the conventional side, the staff you work with now, the practices they had, the practices you use now?
Okay, well, I'll speak to. So I've been at. I don't want to name the hospital, but I've been at the same system for 27 years, and it's a smaller system. But I know a nurse or somebody, respiratory therapist from every department, and word's gotten around that I'm a cannabis nurse. So I've had a nurse reach out to me with her ADHD son. I've had just last night a nurse that wants help for anxiety, and she's not even a coworker, but just an acquaintance. But both of these nurses, and another nurse through the nurse coaching program that I took, also wants some support around and coaching around cannabis. I feel like because it's such a smaller hospital system and everybody knows me, that I don't know, it makes me feel confident that they're putting their trust in me too, that I've represented myself and my work ethic and how I treat my patients well. So I'm not sure if that is what the answer you were looking for, but
that does answer part of it. But the main thing
Yeah.
I was trying to get at, though, is that so we talked about it being more conventional medicine, which often comes with, for better or worse, certain decisions that aren't hopefully with the patient at heart, or there's other intentions at play, or they're trying to sell medicine, or with some other factor. What has it been like, and what are some key differences you've seen between being a nurse in the conventional industry versus here?
oh boy, yeah, there's a big difference. So conventional, you follow line, you stay in line, right, with the doctor's orders, your standard care practices. For example, I do teach every third weekend that I'm there. I will teach on the endocannabinoid system to my patient population. I let them know that it would be a conflict of interest for them to reach out to me, or for me to give out my information on my Centris Health and Wellness. So I take the time to educate them. I encourage them to follow up with their primary doctor and look up the Office of Cannabis Management, that do their own research to kind of branch out from there. The patients receive it very well. I stay under the radar with our psychiatrists, but my nurse manager is aware that I am teaching and she's open to that. We let it fall under self-care. So it's a lot different, because if I'm coaching somebody, it's putting the autonomy and empowering them to make their own decisions. I provide some education and maybe some tools and resources, but it's really up to the client to take it upon themselves to take the steps and initiative to better health. And cannabis is just, for me, that bridge to connect it. I feel like that's helped me reach a healthier state, mentally, physically, spiritually. And I'm hoping that by my coaching and starting them low and going slow, that they're also going to heal and kind of connect all of those realms.
I love that. Now, here's something else that I'm curious about, because you're a Jim. Well, one more. I'm sorry, I'm firing
No,
off here.
you're
I'm just
fine.
so interested. So this one hits for me because I have
muted.
autism. And I imagine
So does
that
everybody
within
now.
your-
Everybody has autism now. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and autoimmune for Alzheimer's, right? I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
that
So
came out.
Everybody has it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So-
my
so
point being
Jim,
is that I
Jim, now we know.
I'm self-diagnosed.
I never would have guessed until I started feeling it, the differences cannabis has and had and has made on my life. Be edibles, certain sativas, being able to bridge those gaps in my mind. Have you worked with anyone with autism or anyone with mental disabilities, as far as using cannabis as a medicine for them?
I have
Yes, she
not
works in mental
directly.
health.
What's that?
I said you work in mental health, right?
Right. But I've only done some discovery calls as far as that goes. There was a mother who has a 15-year-old with ADHD. Actually, and I did talk to a woman on another discovery call who had a child also with autism. They did not sign on to be coached. I did do a little education in that 15, 20 minutes, but no, I have not as much as I should be. Some anxiety, but
Trisha, I will continue on with the questions, but I will say I extend you an open invite to talk to me or ask me anything about my experience with autism and cannabis. I have noticed, I take notes as far as, like, I know now when my body tells me what terpenes I need, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, when I'm feeling like I can't get the bridges to connect, when I'm feeling like I'm in a rut and I need to lift myself. So I'd love to share my perspective on that with you. But so talk to me about this. You obviously deal with a lot of people with body pain on some level or another. Other than, I guess, the basic, sedation and things like that, what are the other things you're advising them as far as pain? Because the one thing big takeaway that I usually clear up for people, as far as or find myself clearing up with people as far as pain and cannabis, is that you're not always looking for a sedator. Your body needs energy to fight the things that are going wrong with it, the things that are aching it. There's both sides of the spectrum here. But tell me, what are some other piece of advice and advice you give your patients that deal with pain, other than just sedate and energy?
Yeah. So really, it's going to depend on where the pain is, the location, what type of pain too. So there's topicals for achy joints, arthritic. We've had some success with the topical. I'll tell you a little bit more about my other little side hustle here when we have a moment. But obviously the traditional Elevate, cold, hot, cold therapy. But when you're initiating a cannabis regimen for somebody naive, you don't just necessarily jump to the THC dominant. So starting with CBD, and if they're comfortable adding THC to the regimen, nighttime's best. It increases fall risk, right? There's side effects. I don't know if you want me to get into that so much, but yeah, there's dry mouth, dry eyes, maybe dizziness. It's also, it can lower your blood pressure. So I have to, when I spend time with a client, not only is it the symptom management, but I have to do the check for drug interactions too.
Okay.
So that's another thing, allergies, and the goals. So it's okay to have a profile that's more sedating at night, but like you said, during the day, you want something that's not going to put you to sleep, that's more uplifting, and it makes a difference with the terpenes. Our flower market isn't open yet. I look forward to helping with that because for me, flower is number one. But not everybody wants to smoke it or vape it,
Or
depending
can.
on their condition. But still, it would be really, really nice for anybody to try a hit, just to get that terpene, the taste, and the smell, and the aroma. And if it's still not for them, fine, switch to a tincture or an edible. And obviously, duration and onset of the product is a factor too in the decision making. So, yeah, I've also just tell clients too, like personally for me, cannabis, and I haven't gotten into breaking down the profiles or anything like that myself, but it just takes your mind off of the pain. The pain sometimes is still there, but you're just kind of numb to it. That's my personal experience with it. I have scoliosis. I used to be a runner. I did Grandma's Marathon in 2014. And in the process of training for that, I tore my labrum in my right hip, but I didn't have
Ouch.
surgery. Yeah, it was very painful. Physical therapy. They did clear me, and I still ran the marathon, which is good. That was a one and done, unfortunately. I tweaked my hip again a few years ago doing lunges. I'm an avid walker now, but I'm the weirdo in the neighborhood that stops and drops and does squats and walks along and does lunges. And yeah. But yeah, it's really individual, as we know that your metabolism's different, your makeup, you're a man. Sue knows this. The flower and our anatomy and everything, physiology react differently. So what I tell one person, I can do a general explanation of what they might expect, but I can't. The same person might not have the same response. So it's very individualized, personalized medicine.
You know, it's when you said you're the one that drops and does squats and stuff like that. You know, sometimes you'll see me laughing. I'm not laughing at you as much as I used to be able to, live in Toms River. I'd get to the beach, right where the Seaside Boardwalk is, and I'd go early in the morning. I'd love the mornings there. I could body surf, didn't have to pay anything. And then I'd come up and I'd just sit usually at the south end, and there was bikes and joggers and stuff, and people that would just drop and squat and do stuff. But what would happen is, it was at one point where the boardwalk was temporarily ended then for repairs or something. It was already at the end anyway. You just couldn't go straight to Lava Land. They had a little fence thing there blocking it. And people would come up after, I don't know if they were walking, jogging, but they'd come up and they'd stretch. What do you stretch when you lean forward and you look like you're trying to push a fence over?
It could be their calves.
Yeah, whatever. I don't do that. I know it must have been one, but see, I don't know. I got this different frequency going sometimes, and I was having such fun because they'd be going back the other way soon enough, and another one would come by, and I'd do the same thing. I'd be like maybe 8 feet away on a bench, and I'd hop up like if somebody was pushing a car because they had they wanted to get it off the road, and you saw one guy or two. I'd stop and I'd help push. So I'd be sitting there like some doofus, and I'd get up and. We can do it. We'll get it over. Like, why don't you like this fence? Whatever I felt like saying. And for at least for 1 second, everybody would take it serious. And that was that 1 second I was after. Real quick, I mean. So anyway, I wasn't laughing at you when you said that.
I can handle it anyway.
So Trisha, I know if I'm getting them as a bud tender, you're definitely getting them. And these are the people that I find are mostly impossible as a bud tender because as a bud tender, we only get 5 minutes, 10 minutes with them. And you're not arguing with these people that are stuck in their ways. They have been they'll tell you the first thing you hear from them, they'll lean into you and tilt their head and go, listen, I've been smoking for 25 to 50 years. I know what I'm talking about. I know what my body needs. For me, as a bud tender, that's someone where I just get them what they need and move on. I'd like maybe make one attempt to try to really give them my knowledge, but that's it. What's your approach to that?
That's a good one. I was thinking when you were saying that, I'm working with my partner Lynn with Sarah. She's with Sarah's Medical. I'm her brand ambassador. We're actually working on providing bud tender education. I don't know if that answers your question a little bit, but Minnesota, right? The market
does, in a
still
sense.
opening. So we are developing some education for bud tenders. And I'm hoping that if a client comes in, that there should be like a short list of questions, like if they are on certain medications or certain diagnoses, age factors that they need a little bit more support. And maybe that's something where they direct a nurse coach. It's an option, not a must. As far as the people that come in with a lot of experience, I guess I would
Their
really
own
want to know, like,
experience,
what's their goals? I mean, what are they hoping to achieve? And maybe a little education would be beneficial, especially if they're not really getting healthy in the process, if they're using it to escape and not expand. I mean, my role is I really want to help people use it so that they can show up and be functional and happy. And that's huge. I don't want to see the plant go backwards.
Escape.
That experience one, it could just be like, well, just, what is your experience with it? What do you like to use? And how does it make you feel?
You and I are very much of a similar mindset there. I get down to, why are you using cannabis? Yes, everyone has even for the recreational people, I say, yes, everyone has a vice, but I know you're not coming in here and just picking anything. You're trying to feel something. And if you're trying to feel something, that means you're trying to mend or take your mind off something else. There's a chain web that goes with all of this. There's a series of questions that you have that I feel bud tenders need to ask. And this is an industry that is still evolving, and we got some work to do as far as the bud tenders. One thing I like that New Jersey does, a lot of, well, I won't say all of them, but some dispensaries you'll see, they'll have a little advisement corner, a little side room where you and a patient can sit in quiet and discuss personal medical matters. So,
That's awesome.
definitely the similar mindset there. Jim, did you have something? You were
No, I was just wondering if I heard said, was it escape, not expand? You differentiated between somebody using.
Oh, yeah.
But you said it so fluidly, and it was gone, and I couldn't rewind it to hear, which is when I watch stuff in retrospect. I mean, I usually follow these up and watch through for stuff that I might have missed the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have done that anyway. But I thought, that fits. I like to steal a little bit from people, and I think that's a really succinct way to say something that would take a lot more words for me. So I'm going to eventually plagiarize that.
And also, I stole it from a girlfriend. That
no, we're passing it around. That's all. And how much work did you do with seniors? You mentioned and I find that it's such a dramatic change over the years from the seniors wouldn't understand to that's all they want to do now is understand, where it's become mainstream enough where they're well aware that there's lots of seniors. So in any place where you're in a senior residential setting, you already kind of know a little bit about it usually.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you learned yourself, though? I mean, you go to talk to seniors, you take away a little bit of knowledge without asking them questions. You just sort of, what did you find like that? Like, what surprised you that they were really interested in, or their approach, or anything?
Yeah. Yeah, it was really well received. So I'm starting up another round of senior visits. They were very engaging and asking a lot of questions. I brought what I had from home, which was just some random flour and packages.
Oh, show and
Being
tell.
that, so
Nice.
they got to handle it. I had signs with it, a little bit of a description of what it was. They wanted to smoke, but they couldn't because they're in a government building.
But they
So
wanted to, yeah.
They did. They did. And
Good, yeah.
they really enjoyed it. They asked me to come back next
Yeah,
month. Well,
that
I
was-
haven't
that-
been back, but
That was my next question. What it would be like going back? Because what did they do with the information? Because that gave them time to say, hey, listen, if we're going to go out and take a walk today, bring something. I want to try it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Your loophole.
Yeah. Well, this is the way it would be done. And
Yeah.
generally, at least old people, those old people, right? Yeah. They come in undercover a little bit easier, like Matlock, the Kathy Bates movie, that whole thing. Yeah. And, but I've always, found that to be true. Working in the mental health area, there's only so much, I guess, you would be able to say about cannabis in that setting most of the time. But did you work with anybody in the mental health area that was already using cannabis?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes, there's a gentleman that was trying to reach out to get qualified actually when I worked last weekend, and he's an alcoholic and he's got horrible chronic back pain. And he's going to follow up when he's discharged. I think he discharged yesterday. So I was able to give him enough information to proceed and not feel shame or guilt. Because that's still a big thing. Everyone thinks it's of it more like alcohol and puts it in the drug category. And that's just not how I see it.
Well, you also had another phrase. See, I make notes because I forget, not because I'm really good at bringing people out or anything. But yeah,
He's
I'm
the
out.
secretary.
Okay, ask anybody here. How often do I get through a full podcast without going? Oh, I forgot where I was going. It's a regular event because I can't. I can't make notes when I'm talking.
I lose my train of thought.
But you said something. The phrase I was about will take their mind off the pain, and that reminded me that the number of times, and even before I had pretty catastrophically injured feet, and I'm pretty pain is my companion, and I keep it at bay. I noticed more than once I would have a pain, maybe standing, and then I'd have a smoke with somebody, more social than just doing it for pain. And I've never caught the pain going away. I've never caught it going from pain to not pain, because it's not a switch. But I forget the pain as it's disappearing. And it sometimes takes somebody to say, how's that? Whoa, it's gone. And it's really, cannabis does help you take your mind off your pain while it's actually relieving it. It's like an edge that it has over other medicine because it takes your mind off it like with a puff,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but don't you think that, like, when you use cannabis for pain, using something else that's an alternative wellness, whether it be product, whether it be yoga or what have you, that's what really does it. I mean, at least in my experience, with
there's synergistic effect. The synergistic effect. Well, even with the opposite approach, I mean, the difference between having, because I had no choice really. I mean, Lefty was a better man than me. He can do things with just cannabis and pain. But when it came to, like 59 hospital nights, I say the days are a breeze. It's the hospital nights that get you. Over 4.5 months, 4 stays. I found an extreme synergy between opiates and cannabis. I mean, the difference between, say, 20 milligrams of Percocet and without cannabis, and I swear to God, I could take 5, and as I start to feel anything, I take 2 tokes, and that beats 20 milligrams without. I'm guessing when Sue mentioned it, I never really considered, I mean, whether it's a synergistic effect or it's just two ways of relieving pain at the same time, where 2 + 2 = 4.
Right.
With
I
cannabis,
think-
2 +
But
2
remember,
= cannabis.
remember, we have Jim. We have receptors. So we have opioid receptors, and we also
Yeah.
have cannabis receptors.
Mhm.
You
I didn't know
so-
we had opioid receptors. I knew
Yeah, we
cannabis. Yeah.
And on a mental level,
What? What were you going
oh,
to say?
sorry. I was gonna say on a mental level, you have to think that your subconscious comes into play a lot here too, because yes, you're thinking about your pain, but your subconscious is waiting for that moment that you feel just that little less pain, where you can start having normal thoughts, and then you start having those normal thoughts as you start feeling less pain, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I don't feel pain. It's
Isn't
like
it-
it's
isn't
the
that
same
just
thing
fun?
as like work goes
Yeah.
by if you're busy, because you're so caught up with
Well,
it.
there's one other thing that happens with me every time. And when I realized exactly what you said, my emotion, I try to contain anger, because it is that easy. And it's always been that easy. And it's seemingly in my lifetime always been a push against it. You know, fighting with people like the MS Society to do studies, you know, because they're the ones that study, yet they spent 20 years dealing with me where they said there's no studies to back up what you're saying. You know, so see, I just forgot where I was going with that.
That's
There
all
you
right.
go.
Like
Good
Steve
demonstration
said, we
right
have
there.
cannabis, those CB1 and CB2, the predominant receptors, but yeah, opium attaches to a different receptor. It wouldn't be a synergy. I mean, they
Yeah.
can work both together, but they work on different parts.
Yeah, but well, the pain relief to me was always 2 and 2 didn't equal 4, but I'm better understanding. You know, it's really not that simple. I have no idea how many different kinds of receptor systems do we have? Do you?
How many
We have-
total?
Yeah, I
We
know,
have-
I know 2. You know,
We have
Yeah.
a few.
yeah. I mean, but
Yeah.
not like hundreds or anything. A fistful or
Not
something.
no,
think
not
so.
hundreds, but you know what? They're still digging into them. You know, there was
Yeah.
a scientist by the name of Candace Pert. And she was the one that she's really the person that, you know, she kind of got like kicked out by the, you know, whole pharmaceutical industry and the NIH, and she was a chief in the NIH, and I think it was brain chemistry is what she worked on. So she was the one. She was the original person that discovered the opioid receptor and also the cannabinoid receptor, I should say.
When was that?
I
when
would.
about what?
I think it was
mid
in,
80s, I think, for the
No,
for
no,
90s?
no. It
90s.
was before that. It was
The
before
cannabis,
that.
really?
Yeah. I think it was in the 60s.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot. That's important information that we could have used sooner.
Yeah,
too, you
and
know?
she also, you know, she did a lot of really cool things. Like did anybody ever watch the Dallas Buyers Club?
Yeah.
And if you,
Long time
yeah,
ago.
it's a good show, you know. And I worked during the AIDS epidemic in Newark, and just for those of you that don't know my background is always inner city, crazy, you know, big places. That Dallas Buyers Club, I remember it. I remember that well. I remember it up here because that's where they got the idea from down there in Texas. They got it from up here. And when I was working in Newark, a lot of patients were doing black market medications, you know, for their disease. So that's how she kind of like fell into that. You know, she also discovered something called peptide T, which is a protein. Okay, so we have all these proteins also that that cure us, you know, that help us, that support different, you know, different syndromes that we may have, you know, whether it be something to do with your immunity system or what have you. But there was a lot to be discovered with that. But because she was a woman, she kind of got, you know, kicked to the curb. And she was a feisty one too. She was like really cool. I kind of followed her, you know, followed her career until she died, I think, in 2014. But she did a lot, and there's a lot going on in that world of science that we don't know about. There's, you know, it's not unless you investigate people like that you find these things, you know, like Albert Hoffman, right? You know, unless you know his name, you don't know what he did. You know, you don't know unless you read something. You know, there's just a lot of good science out there that isn't being utilized, and or they get sucked in from, you know, somebody else. They get sucked into pharmaceuticals because they can make money that way, and it's legitimate. You know, it's not like, you know, it's not like the psychedelic club, you know, that the Harvard Four had, you know, and even them, they got a little bit, you know, stupid.
Well, the endocannabinoid system, I wish I'd known about it way earlier, because that really is when I had something really legitimate to open the door with for people that I couldn't otherwise. Well, it's never been studied. Well, it's never been, you know, and Tricia,
Yeah.
the others would know, but I got so obsessed with the answer is it's never, you know, been double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical crossover test with gold standard in mind for blah blah blah. Never been done.
Yeah.
And I tried years for like, that means you can't find proof that it doesn't work. So why don't we join hands and find out which way this goes? Let's go for the studying. Well, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, so that since it was primarily about MS, because my late wife had MS, and that was my introduction to this, and she had primary progressive, and it was very severe at the end, not at the end, I mean, a lot towards the end, but it was cannabis that held a line straight, you know, where her neurologist said, listen, I don't want to make appointments for 6 months now. I want to move them up. I got the hint, you know, and okay, I can remember exactly why I'm saying this. Maybe I can't. Oh no, that'd be twice in one freaking show. What was I talking about? No, wait. Yeah, oh yeah. And the MS Society saying that. So Dr. Stephen Reingold was just like, we're playing semantic games and things, you know. And I did a literal copy, cut, and paste before computer time for almost anybody, by taking things that was coming out of Washington, you know, where no matter how similar a study is, it's not going to be able to be used for proof unless it's and peer reviewed and all that. And then they'd say cannabis may do this and might do that. And I go, citing what? There's no studies. You can't do that to me. So with all that, as announced in the Star Ledger 2 days before we decided to do something about it in 1997 on October 10th, 1010 at 1010 in Trenton, there was ample news media, 3 television stations and reporters and stuff there, because it was reported in the Star Ledger that Cheryl was going to commit an act of civil disobedience and what it was all about. So that got the news media out. And what the civil disobedience was she was in her wheelchair and she'd be kind of laid back and looking like this, you know, and really stiff. And people wouldn't know that to pick up somebody like that, they don't just try to straighten out like a board I'm trying to hold far apart so gravity will, you know.
Yeah.
And that whole, and then I'd put her down and she'd go, ow, you know. And I looked at, and then she go, "Oh, I'm sorry, honey," because she knew how that hurt me. And well, I'm seeing peripherally all this going on. Okay, so basically, it was a tincture test because she couldn't smoke or wouldn't. Yeah, but basically, it wouldn't work. So we had a tincture from a guy named Dr. Dennis Augustine, sent out from California, a physician, and what we did is mixed it with a little Gatorade and then said, okay, you've seen how stiff she is. After I give her this, you're going to have to wait an hour. I didn't say you're going to have to wait. I didn't know then. Nobody waits an hour, Jim. That's a bad plan. But with this, they waited the hour. And I said, I popped open a Pepsi so they could hear the pressure release, and it was unadulterated. And I said, she's not going to intake anything else other than this soda. You know, she preferred soda. And then basically whatever she just drank, if that spasticity lessened or gone, that's what did it. And I expected I'd be arrested because there were state troopers who didn't stop it, even though they knew what it was, but they were right there, off to the side, had a camera. And nobody was prepared. I knew what was going to happen, and it didn't move, So when I started moving her legs moved easy, because while she was there, I showed them. I did a little, here's why I can't stretch her and all that. They couldn't believe it. But when it came time to put her back in the chair, she's ready to slip. It was like I always say, it's like uncooked hard spaghetti. This was the stuff that would stick to the wall. I mean, she was. And then, I figured the test. No, it wasn't double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical crossover study. It's certainly not enough people to prove anything.
Mhm.
But I understand it's the best test the best study that's ever been done, ever, for MS and spasticity and cannabis. Because if there's never been a test, this is a test. So I went inside because the troopers went inside, and I turned it into one trooper, and she went and gave it to somebody who came out, and he was so mad he had a vein. He was red in the face, and he had a vein sticking out in his head. I'm trying not to laugh at him. So he came up, and where he stopped, I stepped in one, and I'm about 6 foot tall. He's about 5'7". So I stepped in and kind of tried to put my chest in his face and looking down at him while I talked to him. I hear how it sounds. I'm outing myself again, but he said he's channel ABC television cameras like right there, and there's a photographer from Matt Rainey is a guy that somewhat assigned. I guess he was starring. He was different newspapers, but he was the one that always showed up for Cheryl, and we got to know each other. He won a Pulitzer Prize after that for photography. But the question was, he said, what would you have me do with that? Explain what I said. That's a what's this? And I said, it explains the tincture, what for. And I'm expecting, okay, now I'll get arrested and it'll get tested. I'll get cuffed and it'll get arrested. And somebody could take care of Cheryl, that was the plan. And he said, what would you have me do with it? Oh, I think you should probably have it tested and do whatever your job dictates that you should do. Well, then why don't you go have it tested? Okay, I'm like in this surreal world as it is. I'm inside my own head, it feels like. I mean, I feel like I'm looking out and here I am. And I really didn't know how to respond to that. And I said, well, what? Then I should go down to the health department, have them tested? If that's what you want to do, that's what you do. And I think I said something like, well, I'm not going to slap the cuffs on myself, so we'll be going, And then he came out and wanted my ID. They forgot to ask for my ID at this point. And, I wasn't going to, I don't have to give you that. Yeah, there you go. So I went down to the health department. That's been a long day for Cheryl. She's out in the car by herself, and it's not hot or nothing like that. And I go in there. Yeah, the guy at the door, he didn't know what to do. He So he dialed somebody and that I should talk to. And I wasn't talking more than like 15 seconds. And he goes, Mr. Miller? Yeah, and he had another phone. He goes, the state police would like to talk to you. And I did my James Cagney, you dirty rat impression. And it was the same state trooper. And he said, leave. They're not going to test it. And I'm like, okay, listen, now I'm a caregiver. I'm almost kind of relieved, But the point is that didn't have to happen. And if I'd known about the endocannabinoid system, then, I would have made so much more progress. And that was there to be known in 1997. Mm-hmm. So, it's having had the opportunity, though, to talk to Dr. Raphael Schulman at a Patients at a Time conference in Virginia. Oh man. First of all, it wasn't just, talking in the hallway. Got a nice picture of us talking in the hallway, but he came to the after party at Fish Pond, a place with Alan Mary Lynn at the time. And, an old 1860s estate right off the James River. And they had it was like they had it was well done. The what do you call it? The lantern, the fire lights everywhere, and they had an old spread that would have been from the 1800s and playing old time musical instruments. A couple guys on the porch. It was incredible. They had a whole glass section if you needed to buy some glassware. And I'm like, and hog heaven here, and I'm talking to Dr. Bob Melamede. He was at the University of Colorado at the biology department, and him and me were sharing a joint, and over wanders Doc. He comes over, and he's such a sweet little guy, and I can still hear him going, "May I join in your conversation?" It's like I felt like I was in a movie, you know, and so we're smoking, and it's just starting to be a fun talk, and we did talk about the endocannabinoid system at that time because I felt like, well, I want to pick your brain.
Yeah.
And now I'm about to pass back to Dr. Bob when I say, listen, I got to ask, you know, are you going to share some of what you found out why I like it? You know, whatever.
Yeah.
And he went, oh, no. But it was, you should be able to picture him. Oh, no. You know, it was very, you had to love the guy, you know, for everything. And then he was telling us at the time they were putting vape things, almost like a volcano, I guess, in 50 ambulances in Israel. And because that head trauma, I like the way he talked too. Head trauma kind of mimics stroke to a degree, so we can study that, but you have to get it in their system less than 90 minutes, less than 60 minutes. So that's why, and I'm thinking, wow, here we are where we are, and that's going on largely because of him in Israel. You know, he was my new hero after that. You know, really. Willie Mays had to take second seat.
Well, anyway, Trisha, I have to go for the night, but I just wanted to say I have to go get dinner and other things done for the night. This ran a little longer than I thought it would, but I just wanted to say before I go, I've had such a nice time talking to you. I've learned and gained such a grand amount of perspective, and I implore Sue to give my number to you. I would love to help any way I can. I have always said that the patients need more than the 5 to 10 minutes that they get when they go to the dispensary and to the counter. And I've always said if I could do that, if I could be there for that 30 hour that they need to talk to someone and give my knowledge and learn more about how to better help people, I'm there every step of the way. I implore Sue to give you my number. I implore you to please check out my channel. I have a couple different strain reviews that I've done in an aim to kind of, put more information out there. But please reach out to me. I'd love to work with you. You sound incredible.
Oh, thank you. It's a new game. It's a new ball game, right?
You're telling me. You're telling me.
You're doing incredibly well though with it. You really are. Listening to you and your presentation it's pretty good. It's really good.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm here to fill the gap, right? To make people feel more at ease. We know it's that has a high.
Let me help you fill that gap. I would love to.
But
anyway, I gotta go. I gotta get some food in my stomach. You guys enjoy the rest of the chat. You guys have a good night. Stu, Trisha, Jim. Love to catch you later.
Nice,
Yeah, I think like Sue, we went into this field to help people, and instead we're just kind of following the traditional healthcare system, which is
I heard a lot of similar things. Beyond Sue and other cannabis nurses, is like, you're not constrained, and you can only do both for so long. And the term being bedside nurse, it's like something I understand, having been bedside with nurses from the inside of the bed. But it's fill the gaps. I like that. You're the opposite of me. You can explain things in very few syllables, and it just takes me longer. But
it's because you're old.
Yeah. Well,
Jim and I are old,
I'm proud of it too.
and
But-
we are. Yes, we
but
are.
it all,
We're very proud of our age.
and,
Yes.
no, and it's also a really cool crutch. You know,
Mhm.
come on, I'm old. You know, I forgot I'm old.
Yeah, I'll say whatever I
it's
want
because
because I'm old.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
But,
one's wearing out a little bit with my husband.
You know. Yeah, it's I've loved since nurses got involved at the level, because it's no secret to anybody, especially especially after being one, that it's all about nurses. When you want to get better, they're
Yeah.
the go-between, and there's sometimes they did some things for me, that, well, don't tell them I told you.
Yeah.
But
I have to say that.
things like, okay, you're going for another operation today, because I was having them every 4 to 5 days for about 5 of them, because and I had 2 feet to work on, so they could bounce back and forth. And she said, it's not that I don't do well with a roommate in a hospital. It's just that I had 3 octogenarian elderly roommates, and there's just no getting sleep. And a lot of times it's heartbreaking because they're scared. And, a guy, his wife leaves at 9, and he starts crying and saying, if I only had my chair, could they bring my chair? I could sleep. Yeah. But then after like 1.5 hours sleep in the middle of no sleep, 1.5 hours and no sleep, I'm not real proud of myself. Stuff like, get this thing out of here, the catheter,
Yeah.
And I considered saying, yeah, pull hard, it'll come right out.
Jeez.
No, I considered it. And, so that's when fate stepped in, and my AFib got me into the cardiac unit where you don't have a roommate. And then it didn't become such of an issue. And I was there for 28 days at one stay. And she said, listen, you're going down for an operation. I'm going to say they're going to do it, but you've already been cleared. You don't have to be in this room anymore. We have rooms, but, you don't have to go to another room. You can refuse. I didn't know that. I would have gone. And I would have, it's emotionally affecting me, what that was like. So anyway, that's exactly what happened. And I knew I could say it. And I said, I know I don't look real strong right now, but I guarantee you will not get this gurney out that doorway. I guarantee you won't. I'm not going. Okay. And they rolled me back. Now, meanwhile, my better 2/3, okay, my better half, but you give when somebody knows, you call them better 2/3. I got 16% to negotiate with. You need to maintain that. It's not permanent. You could be a better half still. But anyway, she had come and went to the room where I was and been told he's been moved to another room.
Ooh.
And oh no, she had to go. So she was sitting in the room waiting, and somebody came by and said, yeah, he's not gonna be in this room. He's refusing. And it's almost like I can just remember thinking, what was I thinking? Of course he is, But it was a nurse that did that, not a doctor. And it was the littlest gesture that made the difference.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it made a difference I can't even say.
It's-
So.
Nursing supervisors that really run the hospital, at least in my facility.
Wow.
They have a lot of pull, and when I'm
That's
a
good.
charge nurse, I can decide if somebody gets a roommate or not, or keep a room private. And
As it should
That
be.
is the beauty of working in a smaller facility. That does not happen in the big facility.
Yeah.
we have
We don't
private
have any
rooms
beds.
on our hospital small. They are all private rooms except on the behavioral health behavioral health are private. On my floor, there's a few that we reserve for like isolation primarily, but or people that we need close to the desk, those private rooms. But there's mostly double occupancy. But that is a big deal. When you're not feeling well, to have that private room. I know personally I would be miserable if I had to share a room with somebody. I'm such a light sleeper, and sleep's so important for us to heal and recover, that rest space. So yeah, I feel your agony.
Oh, that was yeah,
I'll go
but
with that.
it went the other way from doing that, and then finally when it came time to leave the hospital in those conditions, like the day after or something like that. I mean, it was contingent upon me giving myself shots here, like bunch up the skin. And
Yeah,
yeah. Well, it had to do with getting my INR range between 2 and 3, and then I had to learn that it's not an exact science, and it'd be like 1.9. Shit, another whole day. 3.1. What's wrong? And yeah, well, Jim, if you had a pan of water and the pan was 6 inches high with 3 inches of water, and you had too much at one end, you do that, but
it is, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's like being a pilot and doing a U-turn. You'll go down if you don't do it right, I'm not a pilot, but I was real scared with somebody one time, and I ain't sure about that, Yeah. So, but it was nursing care is incredibly integral, and to be able to have the say that you have, and like Sue was saying, in a larger place, it's a matter of maybe there aren't going to even be the beds there, but yeah, it's a world of difference. And
Yeah,
I've been good and careful and not been back to a hospital since.
That's
Good.
good.
good. You're
Okay,
taking care.
listen, it's now 6:32.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
Lefty always asks certain questions.
yeah, where is he?
Oh no,
Lefty.
no. Let's do it. I want to do it.
You want to do it? Okay.
Yeah.
These,
All right.
these are the
Yeah.
questions.
No,
Everybody gets
it's
asked.
the same questions.
Everyone.
Assuming most people have tried cannabis who are on the show, when was the first time that you tried it, and what was that experience like with however long and short you want to make? Sometimes it's pretty funny with people, but it's
Yeah.
also a little bit revealing, where did that, so, and and how old?
All right.
Yeah.
It fits kind of my personality, I guess. I was 13, and my sister's 2 friends took me out to the Pines in the small town in rural Wisconsin, and they had a little pipe, and I took
It's like
one
that
hit.
70s show. Yeah, the 70s show.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, it was in the 80s, mid 80s, upper 80s. She graduated in 85. So
Yes.
yeah. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
her friends took me out, and of course they're giggling and just like I'm the younger sister of their friend. But yeah, I took a hit, and they actually told me I probably wouldn't feel anything. And I didn't smoke cigarettes, so I probably just had it in my mouth anyway. And it's true, I did not feel anything. So it was kind of anticlimactic, my first experience.
What was the first time you did feel it then, would be the follow-up.
Wow, probably
What was that like? The opening, the awareness,
Yeah.
the light going on. Yeah.
my uncle he's in Iowa, and he's a rock star. But anyway, he brought it camping, and I don't know why he didn't have like a pipe or anything, but we were using a Pepsi or a Coke can, and we had to throw it
Yeah.
around the campfire and throw blankets over us to get that baby going. My mom, I think, tried, and my sister-in-law too. We were giggling. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a good high. I didn't.
Was it like you expected it all? Because you go in with
Yeah.
me. I had an expectation. My only inebriation had been alcohol, and I knew it wasn't like that. And I was
Right.
I was
Uh,
shocked.
I'm trying to. I don't remember if I had alcohol. I'm not a heavy drinker. I will drink from time to time, and kind of like my craft cocktail, that experience still. But I don't think I had been drinking. I don't even know how much I got, to be honest with you. But I felt good. Just like it says high, but high's got such a negative connotation. How about I was blissful, anandamide.
Yeah.
I felt good. It was
Good.
fun. We were
Well,
giggling.
He would want to follow that up then with you
Next
want it?
question.
Go ahead, Sue. Look at you. You go
Want
ahead.
me to ask?
Around the
Yeah, you
campfire.
take it away.
Okay, what's your favorite munchie food?
Ooh, God, that's changed a little bit over the years, Sue.
That's
Okay.
It's
follow
changed
the
a little
path.
bit. There was a period of time before I had to get healthy again. Whenever one of us went to the store, besides bread, butter, eggs, and milk, not always butter, but Bomb Pops
I don't know what they are.
that taste so good. Red, white, and blue Bomb Pops, not the knockoff, but I got away from that because that tended to be before nighttime. Now we get 70% or higher chocolate.
70%.
Yeah,
are
that's yeah. I love that's me.
There's a synergy.
Yeah.
Because chocolate's a cannabinoid, and for some reason, if you just take your time and let it melt in your mouth, it gets sweet. There's an
Really?
experience. There's a really good experience with
Yep.
real chocolate. The higher percentage. Yeah, I wouldn't eat it before, but cannabis is kind of given that experience, that connection, that synergy with the cacao.
Yeah, and if you can find something with the cacao nibs in it, you know, that's better yet. You know, for a while we were even making little dosing with that, you know,
Really?
which was
Yeah.
pretty cool. They were only 5 milligrams, so you could eat a handful if you wanted. But yeah, it's good. It is good. But that is true about chocolate, and
Yeah.
that's why even like with just normal everyday life, chocolate is up there. It's up there.
Healthy for us. Yeah. So I switched to chocolate. No more Bomb Pops.
Mm-hmm. We didn't. I don't even know what Bon Pops are.
Really?
They like
Oh,
those
they're so
pops that
good.
they sell like in Starbucks, like
They-
those cookie
popsicles.
pops.
They're
Okay.
popsicles, and they're red, white, and blue, and they have a
Okay.
softer texture, and they're so flavorful. Obviously, all artificial, but they melt and disintegrate in your mouth really nice.
Okay.
The texture and a flavor thing.
Uh-huh. Okay, good.
And then,
Jim, last question.
well, one other thing he asked, and actually I've asked myself this question. I don't have a good answer. I mean, people have answers, and maybe I'd learn. If somebody, is kind of feeling down, or you can tell they don't have to say, I really feel down. Somebody that well. What would you might say generally, not specific to why they're feeling down? You're not delving into it. What do you have something you might normally say? Like one person would say, I would just tell them, breathe. See, he had an answer, and it made sense. It is a good answer, but it's always other stuff. So what do you got?
Yeah, I would like to know, like, first of all, are you comfortable sharing it with me? You want to share what might be making you feel down? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah,
I mean, if
okay.
I'm coaching somebody, I'm going to be more direct.
Yeah.
Like what's going on? Want to tell me what's going on. And,
Okay, so this would be like somebody that you're close with. Forget about patience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Tell me
And
about it.
it'll give you. I mean, I suppose it was something like, my mom's getting older, and I feel like we've grown apart, and I don't know how long she's going to be here, and I just want to reconnect, and I don't know how to do it. I mean, if it was something like that, not real
Yeah.
personal, again, I don't have answers, so I would never be the one to ask somebody stuff I wouldn't have an answer to.
It sounds like
surprised.
you care about your mother and your relationship, and you want to connect. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
There you go.
Like,
You know what? See,
what's your relationship like with your mom? What
just
happened that you
that-
haven't been
that
talking?
that could ease somebody's burden a little bit just by that interest, and that they can go further.
Yeah.
Good. That's a
Something
good answer.
happened. Mhm. There's
Yeah,
a lot, and that's like with the coaching. That's really is about creating that space too for people to be
Yeah.
comfortable talking and not obviously leaving judgment out. And sometimes it might get some people have a hard time opening up.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to respect that boundary too, and let them know that you're not going to push too far if they're not comfortable with it as well.
Good.
There's
Okay.
Lefty, I think.
There he is.
Hi, Lefty. Lefty, we asked the questions, okay?
Yeah.
You
I
heard?
see.
Okay,
He does
was
talk.
listening.
He's not like Penn and Teller. Which one doesn't talk?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he talks.
I have to plug something before you hang up.
No, yeah, that's one of the things
Does
he does
Lefty have
too.
a question?
No. We asked the questions, Lefty. We covered the big three.
Yeah, we covered you.
But you
Great
always you would always say, is there anything you want to alert people to or tell us about, or do you have a website or
I
something?
do.
You know,
I have a couple
Yeah.
of websites. And
Oh,
a
sorry,
magazine.
Lefty. Did you
And
want to
in
ask?
fact, I think I put the website on Sativa Cross.
Oh,
It
great.
should be on there.
Yeah,
And
but,
if not,
yeah, but something audibly. Like, what else is there? Anything
Okay.
else going on you want people to know
Yeah.
about? All on you.
So, a lot of things are happening in Minnesota. I am partnered up with my friend and colleague, Lynn Walker, and she is an editor of Bloom Magazine.
Yeah. Okay.
You guys got to check these out. This is the first edition.
Oh, how long ago did that start?
This
Okay.
came out in December. It's
Oh, okay.
the inaugural issue. It's volume 1 or autumn technically, but it's Plants, People, Purpose. It's a cannabis lifestyle magazine. It
Is
is
that-
educational.
Yeah.
It has lifestyle. Let me just get to the little point here. Living, column, learning, and listening. And I do have I'm a contributing writer,
All right.
and I was a centerfold.
I'd like to check that out. Ooh,
There's my article.
you're a centerfold.
And I'm
Okay.
also in the winter edition that just came out last Tuesday. So the chief editor is Angelique, and I'm going to ruin her last name, and I apologize. Arulo.
That sounded good to me.
We're all in the Midwest, but we're really trying to support the Midwest right now.
Yeah.
And this magazine, like I said, has a ton of information from accounting to dispensaries. There's physicians writing in here. We really want to just spread the word. And right now it's free to consumers. So
Oh,
Lynn and I
good.
have been going around. That's where I came from today.
okay.
Dropping these off at dispensaries. We're trying to open it up more to the wellness space, like yoga studios, massage, you name it, because those modalities all help upregulate the endocannabinoid system. And I didn't really stress that enough with my coaching, Jim, but like when I'm coaching people on how to use cannabis, we're also going through lifestyle strategies such as diet, exercise, nutrition, stress, social.
Nice.
So all of that is being enhanced while they're learning how to take their medicine.
Wow.
But yeah, these are really awesome lifestyle cannabis magazines. And
I'd
they're
like,
free.
how do I get a hold of one not being in the Midwest though?
You got a website?
Okay, I do. Mine is Centris Health and Wellness.com, and then it's Ceres Medical is Lynn's, and I'm on her website too. We're pretty much combining forces right now, the two of us. I'm her brand ambassador. She's has some gummies, and she has some tinctures, topical, and a balm, a roll-on balm. It's a medical oriented brand, and it's clinician formulated, easy to understand, easy to use, and I'm proud to be a part of that. Yeah, I don't know what else I want to add to that except that we are hitting the ground running, and we're doing our best to educate the community, hitting the senior centers right now, breaking the stigma through education. And I mean, I know Sue would agree, nurses are really the gateway to the adult use and the medical. I'm a medical patient, and for chronic pain, I fit with migraines, and then with my hip being having its flare-ups every now and then. I've explained to you that I can't really sleep on my right side or my back for very long. It really is limiting for me. Obviously, I never use before I clock into my job, or even, I know the duration of my medicine, so I know what I'm doing, and I'm always safe and would never put anybody at risk. But it's just important, like to me, that you can have a career and be a functional adult with some education on cannabis and the endocannabinoid system. And there's so much we can do to help amplify that. And one thing is just start to tweak out and take out some of the things that actually harm it, like nicotine and alcohol and highly processed foods. And not like you have to do a total, 180 or anything, but there are a lot of easy things we can do to incorporate in our life that don't have to be super like overwhelming or unobtainable. Like just easy, smart goals. That's what we're here to do.
I got one last question, only because it's the way I find. My lungs have about 54 years of smoking, so
Ooh, you're old.
I would, yeah. Well, and I didn't start till I was like 19. So
Such a lying
yeah.
sack of shit.
Yeah, don't. I'll tell on you too. I'll take you down with me. What I do is, my brother has a magical butter machine, so he does the work. But I acquire the main ingredient, and it's not like shavings or shaker. It's as good as I can get. It's really use it. My feet survive on that, and pain and just a lot of other stuff, But it's just made with coconut oil and lecithin. I always feel like who is a suffering succotash lecithin. I feel like I'm lisping or something,
Yeah.
Because I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. So anyway.
You were good. You're okay.
Well, I try to mumble lecithin, like that. But anyway, that's it. So what I can just as easily do is open the jar, and I take like a fingerful because it's at the like butter, not
Like the
hard.
green butter.
Yeah, really. Yeah, it's like butter.
Is
It's,
it close to RSO?
No.
No.
Well,
Okay.
no. But
Just
for pain relief as well and comfortability like that, I need obviously less smoke. But what I find interesting is I take that first, and then maybe 15 minutes later, people say I feel it. I mean, when I say feel it, I notice it. It's not so much a feeling, but I have a clarity that comes, and my words string together the opposite of the way it's supposed to be. According to
Nice.
Yeah, and
Good to hear.
but then what happens is 15, 20 minutes later, I'll take one quick in and out breath. I'm not even breathing all the way in, I just a little bit like I've done a couple of times here. And it really amplifies a little bit, it never gets below a certain point. And I learned that from a Patients at a Time conference where a guy back 20 years ago, it's like, okay, here's a graph of, you get real quick smoking, and here's the descending degree. Now let's compose over that this humpback graph of an edible, and then the assumed combination of both in a double colored line, and putting it like that makes sense. So somebody that you not an old person, not somebody with no experience, you got to really wonder. But somebody, maybe doesn't want to smoke so much, and I don't know.
Yeah, there's plenty of products.
Yeah,
tinctures
I just don't know anybody else in my circle that does that, And I don't, not all the time. It's not like, that's not like a daily thing, coffee, okay, then that. It's mostly when I want to be productive, because I spend a lot of time at the computer, fighting windmills or whatever, just tilting at them, This is home. There's a big windmill here, Home Care for Patients in New Jersey, with a built on being blocked for 4 years. So, it's sort of like I get tired of body punches, but then when I do that, I don't feel so high as just in, and I seriously feel like a zone, like I'm in a zone and I can't think about it. Thinking about it makes it go away, And I found the same thing. I decided I want to learn to play the keyboard. I always thought I couldn't, and I never tried. So if I play guitar, and it turns out I'm learning that quicker than the guitar. So it also works for that. That it's amazing. It's like I can't believe my hand's hitting the right key. What the hell?
It's your focus.
Yeah, and muscle memory. That okay, you got to practice. But for me, practice is okay, I'm working on the left hand for Canon and D, but I play it in C because there's no white keys. I mean, all white keys, and it's just easier to learn. But it's just a repetitive 4 notes up and then a different 4, but I have to be so mindless with that to be able to put the other notes in. And then, so I spend a lot of time just going, and then I put on a metronome or a beat and I do it, and I count mistakes and I time it because I'm high. I'm really into it. It's not boring to me. It's like, okay, this metronome, how many mistakes do I make in 3 minutes? Okay, and I go and I look at, okay, and then I get that down. I make it a game. And that's when I lower it, what if I move it up 10? More mistakes per minute. So I set parameters for myself on the slave driver when it comes to teaching myself the keyboard. And I do it, but I never mind. And then combined with, I can do that with the headphones on any time. I'm not going to disturb anybody. Nobody can hear it. And I can spend some hours just for going, like, I can't believe I hear how good it sounds. I like what and it's only the one hand,
Yeah.
So it's like I do that. It's good for that, but it's the edible. It's not the same otherwise.
Right. They do, the edibles break down to a stronger metabolite, the 11-hydroxy THC.
Really?
So it's actually more psychoactive. But I was just going to commend you. You say you're old, so I want to say cannabis is.
I'm 72.
Okay, that's not old, but whatever. You're a little older than me. But my point is, you're a senior, and it's gotten you to get out there and explore that creative side, that musical part of you. So that's super beneficial, and that's going to be healthy for your brain too long term.
It is.
You don't seem demented or like you have Alzheimer's or anything.
No, I've always been. Okay.
Maybe demented.
Okay. Let me go back to I still remember the horror on not my teacher's face. It was sort of like, who knows the one syllables. We're learning syllables like in first grade or something. Way long ago. What is this? And it was like, who knows a 2-syllable word? And a couple people did. And I never volunteered. I was like really shy. And we got to 3 syllables and nobody knew. And I'm like, what? And she goes, yes, Jimmy, scatterbrain. Scatterbrain? Yeah, my mom says if my head wasn't connected to my body by my neck, I'd lose it. so what I'm saying is this started a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
But I maintain I have a carnival in my head. I don't mean noises like chirpings or anything. I mean like a real carnival of information going by, where I can amuse myself just by thinking. I don't have a radio in my car, and I go to Tom's. I take a 55-mile drive back to the homestead. Brothers, we get a bong out, we have a couple of beers, and we spend Sunday at our church.
Mm-hmm.
And I come back. I don't have a radio. I have it, but it's not working, and I could easily have it fixed, but I don't because I got my carnival in my head. I solve problems. I'll take a puff. I'm allowed. I'm a patient. Technically,
you have a whole committee up there, right?
I do.
Wow.
It's it is, and not for nothing, but it all comes, and there's probably a physical, mental.
And that's when you're from Jersey. We say not for nothing.
First, not for nothing, but first thing, waking up and all, right, shower, me, like I can be having water run on my head within 60 seconds of actually waking up, and it's time, and I can solve the world's problems while I'm showering. I almost need. I forget stuff like, holy crap, I forgot. And I don't know why that is, if it's the running water in my head, but to the point where I don't do it until I decide a topic. Because sometimes I come out of the shower really smart about like why this bird doesn't run when the other one flies in or something.
Yeah.
I think I figured it out why that morning doves don't give a shit about a crow coming in hot,
No.
They don't. But anyway, so I got to corral it, but actually, cannabis helps me be self-aware, and I use it purposely like that, you know.
Right.
And I don't like what I find out. I don't like self-awareness at times. I'm a slave driver. Once I realize what the problem is, and as I tell everybody, sometimes, you know, I better 2/3 be in there, and I'll be quiet here, and I'll be like, I don't want to. You all right? Yeah, I'm all right. It'll just come out, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been a pleasure having you on too, though. You know,
Yeah,
And
thank
Thank you so much, Trisha. You
Yeah.
were great.
I-
You were great.
I agree,
Thanks,
and it was like learning without being taught. You know.
Good. I hope so.
Yeah. No, it was. You know.
Sue's an expert. I'm kind of new to the space, but it's also kind of to me
You're-
silly that we have to be that concerned about a plan.
You're in that nexus of several things. What you do, where things overlap, which means there's more to learn about.
Yeah.
You know, from what you're saying, and the integration is everything. So being
Right?
able to integrate the moving parts that are available, that's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I, as
Yeah,
a-
and I think we're going to talk and we'll
Yeah, you're
collaborate
right.
on a few things,
I
which would
love
be
that.
which would be really good to do. It would be
Well,
really a lot of fun.
And
Yeah.
we'll be needing to have you back at some point.
Yes.
And not
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
not like in a hurry or anything. You notice that wasn't a question. It was
Yeah.
more.
I'm down. I need the
Yeah.
practice anyway, and to
That's
get
how
my
I roll.
message.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
Well.
message clearer, and yeah, I appreciate it, and thank you for letting me showcase the North Bloom magazine out of Minnesota.
Oh
and
yeah,
Kansas.
I really want to read that. It sounds like the kind
I
of
do
thing-
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
send me your addresses, and I'll figure
Yeah.
something out.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be
Okay.
really good.
Yeah.
Well, that'll Sue's our, you know, she keeps this thing straight going. So I would think that's
That's
can't
gonna
see
be yeah.
you can't see Sue, but this is where you are to me. You know.
Mhm.
There. How about that? Is that better?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
You, Sue. Yeah.
Yes,
sure-
yes,
make
I
sure-
got
make-
you. I got you.
Make sure
guys.
we got that, and email me I'm a pot for ms@yahoo.com email. Only so people can remember it. License plate, pot for ms
I
at
like
Yahoo. And when you go Yahoo real loud, especially in public, they'll always remember. Yet
Mhm.
when I do that, they go, well, here, let me write that down. I'm like, no, don't write it down. Do not write it down in front of me. I went to a lot of trouble here to make it something you can remember.
I'll get on Sue for the contact information, or she'll get on me. So
Yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah,
And I hope
we'll
to
talk.
be in your area again sometime. I didn't get to spend long enough time when we were there in 2020, right
Mm-hmm.
before COVID hit. So we were.
Where
right there.
were we? Where were you?
I was in New York. We flew into Newark.
Oh,
My
okay.
husband had a conference. I was with my mom, who I think was 83 at the time. And we walked from the Sheraton by the park. I'm trying to think what direction, if it would be north or south, but we walked all the way down to the trade towers and the Empire State Building for
Whoa.
You
two
were in-
days in
you
a
were in
row.
the city.
That was no, yeah,
Yeah.
that
yeah,
was,
that was a long walk. Yeah,
Yeah,
that-
it was.
that's
That was-
right. You talked about that.
My
Yeah,
mom amazed me.
you were
Man.
going
It's a long
north. Yeah, you're definitely going
North,
north.
okay. Yeah, it was quite the experience. I would have liked more time, but
It's-
anyway, the sun
fascinating.
is coming down here.
yeah.
I had the light
Down here.
Yeah,
coming
look.
in on my face.
It's dark
Yeah,
here.
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
using it.
Thank you,
Thank you
Trisha.
so
We'll
much.
talk,
You
we'll
guys,
talk
it was
tomorrow.
fun.
Okay, in the next
All right,
couple
Trisha.
days.
I love it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, look at you. You look like a House of Representatives circle.
That's all he's looked like the whole time.
You
That
can't hear
was-
me, can
Every
you?
once in a while, he
Oh,
shows his
we can
face.
hear you.
He shows his face, and then he laughs, and then he goes
Yeah.
away again.
Yeah. Hey, could you do that more? If I wanted to have a party with some of my friends, would you get us set up and then you could leave?
Yeah, you can be like,
Great.
Yeah, I got Paul in Australia and a couple of people in California. We could pick a time, set us up, you know, and then get the hell out. You don't have to stay. We know how to leave.
Yeah, I'm having some issues today with my my service.
okay.
You couldn't tell. I'm kidding.
All right, I'm starving.
Yeah, me too.
You too.
All right.
Okay,
Well, good.
we're gonna close out.
Thank you. Thank you, Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
Come Saturday, big opening, 845 Route 1 Avenue. Huge grand opening.
2 days.
CMMN. Yes, it's going to be great. CMMNJ, UFCW, Arlo Glass, OpenMachine.com, and SakivaCross.org.
They really?
And our list begins with Cheryl,
Have you really?
Sakina, Diane, Gracie, Cindy Mae, Bree, Jack, Joan, Randy, Holly, Bill, Chad, Jeremy, Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ, Roger, Jay, Ella, Patty, Jackie, Anthony, Jake, Armando, Felicia, Lynn, Dan, Sean, Joyce, Lori, Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, Thorne, Frank, Terry, Charlotte, Cher, Lorraine, Jaybird, Michael, Marley, Colette, and this list is long. Brendan, Red, Rico, Lou, Becky, Luanda, Chip, Paul, Lisa, Marcus, Gary, Julia, and I'm so glad you got to go to her memorial the other day. I couldn't make it, but I'm glad you went.
Yeah, me too. You know, it was
Look.
it was yeah. Oh, look at that.
Look at that. I'm in here. Right here. Right here.
Oh,
Wait, I don't know. I can't get
yeah. So
Let me see
okay,
it.
yeah, no, it blurs out a little bit. Okay,
It's blurry. It's blurry.
yeah. Hold on, I don't
Yeah.
have my screen.
All right. Yeah, there's other smaller pictures, but that's all right. I'll show you when I see you.
All right.
Okay. Over and out.
Are you done, or you want to do the ode to remembrance first, or no? Left girl, age shall not worry them, nor the earth condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we're gonna remember. All right. Oh, I'm all set. First one out. Ha! Oh, fuck! I missed it. Okay, hold on. We'll try. All right, gotta go. Ha!